For the first time in 2026, the Fordham Rams continue Atlantic 10 Women's Basketball Conference play against the St. Joseph's Hawks inside the Rose Hill Gym. The 10-3 Hawks are off to another solid start under head coach Cindy Griffin, who's been at the helm at her alma mater for a quarter century. Coming off a low-scoring win over VCU on Wednesday, St. Joe's looks to improve to 3-0 in the conference. Fordham fell to 8-5 at home on New Year's Eve in a tight matchup with a resurgent LaSalle team. Led by head coach Bridgette Mitchell, Alexis Black and the Rams are ready to protect Rose Hill against a strong opponent early in league play. It's the Fordham Rams versus the St. Joseph's Hawks. It's the first Saturday of 2026. It's Fordham women's basketball, and it's coming up next on WFUV Sports.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you inside the Rose Hill Gym here on the campus of Fordham University in the Bronx, New York. Tucker Austin and Anthony Smith with you as we await the start of the first matchup in 2026 for the Fordham women's basketball Rams. They get ready to take on the St. Joseph's Hawks. Anthony, we got a great game on hand, but first, I want to get your thoughts. How has your New Year been? We're only 3 days in, but how's it been since New Year's Eve?
It's been great, Tucker. Hope everything's great with you as well. I'm excited for 2026 and what it has in store, all the great opportunities to come here with WFUV. But you know what I'm even more excited for? Fordham women's basketball, an A-10 clash against St. Joseph's here today.
Yeah, and a big one, Anthony. Fordham still in search of their first win in conference. St. Joe's enters at 1-1. But a very strong candidate are these Hawks. And before we get into this game, we had a chance to catch up with Fordham Rams women's basketball head coach Bridgette Mitchell. Take a listen to that right now. Tucker Austin and Anthony Smith here with Fordham women's basketball head coach Bridgette Mitchell ahead of the Rams contest against the St. Joseph's Hawks. And coach, it was another 20-point game for Alexis Black last time out against LaSalle. How impressed have you been with her ability not only to step into a new program and find success, but also to step into the leadership role on this team that she has?
Yeah, I think that Lex is doing a great job of leading her teammates and not just leading them in various different categories, but I think the most important, as you mentioned, her ability to show up for games, right? Her ability to show up on game day, to consistently do what she needs to do for this team. I think it speaks volumes to who she is and her character and her ability on the court. And so really happy with her efforts. And then the same thing with how she comes into practice consistently in terms of being vocal and locking into what we need to do for opponents.
Coach, obviously Alexis Black has been great, but we discussed it a couple of weeks ago with Lucretia Alberts, now averaging 13 points over the past 3 games. What have you seen from her these past couple contests?
Yeah, Lucretia, she, prior to her, like when she wasn't making her shots, she was still moving to hunt the shot. And so now she's knocking them down. Her effort and her work hasn't changed. She's just knocking down her shots. So I just talked with her about it yesterday. She's a living example of, not getting very much playing time to staying consistent in your work ethic, getting in the gym and being with our coaches, and to you now starting and getting the minutes and the production because having faith and believing in your abilities goes a long way. And so talked with her about her ability to do that and how that needs to bleed off into her teammates.
And shifting towards St. Joe's a little bit, Gabby Casey and Ryan Stokes have the 3rd and 4th best assist-to-turnover ratios in the Atlantic 10 so far this season. Turning LaSalle over was a big reason why your team was able to stay in it against the Explorers for the full 40. So is the approach sort of similar today in terms of the turnovers?
Yeah, our identity doesn't change. They've had a lot of success. They haven't faced us yet, and I think that our players take pride in their ability to defend and really get after people. So I'm looking forward to what we go out there and do from a defensive end today.
And Coach, St. Joseph's unable to crack 55 points in their 2 conference games this season, 3 for 21 beyond the arc in their past game. How much of a focus for the defense will be keeping St. Joe's out of the interior?
Yeah, it's going to be crucial. So typically we front the post. This game we're going to play behind and make them have to score, right? Make them have to do a post move that, against our post defense. And that's something that, will help us to be able to defend the 3-point line. Though they only made 3, they still got up 21, right? And so we don't want to allow that. So we're going to make sure that we're disruptive.
All right. Thanks very much, Coach. Good luck as always. The Fordham women's basketball Rams versus the St. Joseph's Hawks coming up next on WFUV Sports. rendition of the national anthem there as we welcome you back inside the historic Rose Hill Gym. Tucker Austin, Anthony Smith with you. We just heard from Coach B and everything that she wants to bring to the table against this St. Joe's team. They haven't changed very much in terms of their game plan or their approach on either side of the basketball, but the personnel has certainly changed. But they've spent a long time under the tutelage of 25-year head coach of the St. Joseph's Hawks, Cindy Griffin. She's got a whole lot of wins to her name with this program. She also played for St. Joe's in her playing career, and she's got the Hawks poised to make a return to the A-10 championship game this season.
Yeah, Tucker, she's been a great leader for this St. Joseph's team for the 25 years, always keeping this team competitive in the A-10. It's going to be a tough battle here for the Fordham Rams, but they are looking to maintain their identity, create those turnovers. This St. Joseph team does a good job of taking care of the ball, though, so it's going to be tough to try and get those takeaways for Fordham. But another thing that I've noticed what Coach B mentioned is that they want to make sure that St. Joseph's is earning those points that they score. They want to see if they can shoot those threes and then maybe just get them to have luck going their way. And for Fordham, they're just going to try and lock down the interior, make sure that St. Joseph stays out of the paint.
Yeah, and it should be a successful strategy if they can force St. Joe's to miss those three-pointers. They shot 3 of 21 from beyond the arc against VCU in their last game on New Year's Eve. They did get the win in that game, but they only scored 55 points. So they had relative struggles scoring the basketball, but they play some great defense. Meanwhile, for the Rams, in their last game against LaSalle, also on New Year's Eve, they fell in that one 72-69. It came down to the last shot. Alexis Black couldn't knock down the three or draw the foul on the three-pointer. But still, another 20-point performance for her, and you heard it from Coach B during the coach's sound. Alexis Black has just been so consistent for this team and a real important piece for the Fordham offense to sort of lean on in this whole season.
Alexis Black has indeed been great, but when I look at the starting five here today, I look at Lucretia Edwards getting another start. She's been averaging 13 over the past 3 games, really just letting the 3-ball fly. She's shooting 50% from beyond the arc in these past 3. And another one that I look at, Karen Easley getting the start, a true freshman, and it really could be a good piece for this Fordham team. Just dishes out good assist, plays tight defense. Very unique starting lineup here for the Fordham Rams, but I think it could work.
Yeah, very interesting starting lineup indeed. Alexis Black, of course, is in the starting lineup for the Rams alongside Karen Easley. Lucretia Edwards also out there, a third guard. And then a pair of forwards, Ornella Niankin, who's been playing some very consistent basketball, getting another start for the Rams today. And making her first start of the season for the Fordham Rams, it is Ugne Sertau-Teita, the 6'1 junior out of Kaunas, Lithuania. She's been really, really good off the bench for the Rams all year, but she's going to make a big impact starting in this game against the St. Joe's team with some serious size. Starting for the Hawks, it's going to be Faith Stinson, Ryan Stupp, and it's won by St. Joe's quickly down the lane, and a nice 2 there for Jill Jaycott. 2-0 St. Joe's early.
Good start there for St. Joe's, going right down the paint, kind of the opposite of what Fordham wants to do here.
Alexis Black has it for the Rams on the right wing. First possession of the game for the maroon and white. Black pulls up from the right baseline, a couple feet inside the three-point line, and answers with a 2 of her own. We're tied at 2, 9:30 to go in the first quarter.
Hot start for the App State transfer, Alexis Black, not fazed by that early basket from St. Joseph's.
Ball with Gabby Casey. Now it's down low for 0-0. Faith Stinson sidesteps and then to her right goes up for the layup. It's no good. Rebounded by Sertau-Teita. Getting the start today because she picked up 6 boards in the last game for the Rams against LaSalle. Coach B impressed with her rebounding ability, wants her to make some impact on the glass today.
And you see why she gets the start there. Gets an early defensive rebound, plays tight defense down low in the paint.
And a travel by the Fordham Rams on the ensuing offensive possession. Lucretia Edwards didn't put the ball on the floor before she started moving her feet. Clock stops 9:05. And now an inbound for St. Joe's. We're back underway. Ball with Sneed, and now it's to Jill Jaycott. Jaycott up top for Casey. Casey back to Jaycott, left corner 3. That's good. It swirls in for Jill Jaycott, the sophomore guard out of Enola, Pennsylvania, 5-2 St. Joe's.
Good start for the Hawks from beyond the arc. We mentioned that they struggled in 3 points last game, but they were able to get one here just a minute into the game.
8:36 and ticking in this first quarter. Ornella Niankin with it on the left post. She finds Ugne Sertauteta. A pass across the paint and an easy two for Ugne. 5-4 St. Joe's.
That could be an interesting duo right there. Ornella and Ugne down low in the paint. We saw it there. Ornella making the extra pass out to Ugne. Such a threat down low.
Ball is down low for Casey near the left block. Now into the left corner. That's a three. That's no good from Ryan Stokes. Rebound Fordham. And Karen Easley going to push the pace the other way. The freshman getting the start for the Rams. Goes all the way to the rack and lays it in. Karen Easley does not look like a freshman out there. Just such a refined game for such a young player. And she gets the two and gives Fordham the lead at 6-5.
And Tucker, she looks so poised that she takes the foul there. Going the other way now for Fordham. But she looks so poised going down the court. Obviously looking for options to pass the ball, which is something that she does so well. But instead this time she takes it all the way to the basket. And then shout out Ugne making another defensive rebound down low on Fordham's side on the court.
Easley picks up draws the offensive foul against St. Joe's. It's a turnover in Fordham's basketball. Alexis Black has it in the right corner. She's guarded closely by Jill Jaycott. Loses the basketball. The St. Joe's bench loves that. Driving into the paint, now dumps it off for Sertauteta. Into the left corner for Lucretia Edwards. That's no good. Rebounded by Gabby Casey. She's trying to push the pace the other way, and now she'll slow things down. Left wing, it's still Casey. Casey fires a pass down low, looking for Faith Stinson, but it's tipped out of bounds by Niankin. It's going to stay with the Hawks.
We see a lot of substitutions coming in and out early here for the Rams. Mason Hill checking in. Tia Morgan also checked in. Something that this Fordham team loves to do is utilize their bench. 22 bench points in their last game, Tucker.
Yeah, Mason Hill, as you mentioned, checking in, along with Tia Morgan. Hill with Easley is two of the talented freshmen on this Fordham roster that have been making more of an impact than expected early in the season. Left wing three, that time from Aaliyah Sneed is no good. Fight for the rebound, it's last touched by Casey. Fordham's basketball, 7:13 to go in the first quarter, 6-5 the lead for the Rams.
Nice job there by Tia Morgan, able to grab the rebound. It was tipped away by Casey, so out of bounds on the Hawks, and now Fordham with it.
Just over 7 minutes to go. Tia Morgan bringing it up for the Rams. She finds Ornella Niankin on the left side, and now it's back up top for Ugne Sertauteta. Mason Hill, her first touch of the ball game, top of the key. Now gives it back to the right side for Tia Morgan. Tia Morgan steps back at the top of the key for three and airballs it. It whispers the net before sailing out of bounds, and it'll be Hawks ball.
Tucker, unsure of who was there on coverage, but it looked like it may have got tipped by, I think it was Ryan Stokes there. So
Gabby Casey trying to move things quickly for St. Joe's. She's in the left corner, but picks up her dribble guarded by Morgan, and now they have to get it out. Swung around for Faith Stinson, a right wing three that misses everything. The rim and the net, complete air ball and goes out of bounds. That's back-to-back air balls by these two teams. Fordham still with a 6-5 lead, 6 minutes and 30 seconds to go in this first quarter. Fordham in search of their first conference win of the season. Sertauteta, right side, working on Stinson. Backs her into the post and then puts up the layup, but that's no good. Rebounded by Casey. She gets it forward for Jayco. Jayco down low for Sneed. Sneed backs down into the paint, but no good on the layup, but it's rebounded by Casey. Now a swing and a wide open look for Jill Jaycott. She can't get it to go. Another fight for the rebound, and it's last touched by Sneed. Nice work by Sertauteta on the glass, battling for that board as she takes a seat.
A whole bunch going on there right there, Tucker, but St. Joseph's had a lot of open looks for three, and they eventually did shoot the ball. Wasn't able to go down the well, unfortunately, for them.
Something Bridgette Mitchell told the TV staff today, that she's really trying to force St. Joe's to shoot the threes that they usually do and hope they can't make them. Ornella Niankin gets an offensive board underneath and goes back up with it. It's no good, but she's fouled, and so it'll be the first free throws of the afternoon, and they belong to the Fordham Rams, and Ornella Niankin going to the line for two, up by one, 6-5.
Impressive rebounding skills there from Ornella Niankin. Looking like OBJ reaching out in her hand, just trying to get that basketball back, able to draw the foul.
Niankin, the grad school transfer from Wichita State. She puts up the first free throw, and it's good. She's now 6 for 6. She's 74% from the stripe so far this season, makes the first. She had a good shooting game from the line against LaSalle. Second of 2 for Niankin is no good. It rims out, but it's rebounded by Wilson Saltos, who tries to go back up with it against Stinson, but puts it off the bottom of the backboard. Transition for the Hawks. All the way down to the other end goes Ryan Stokes after the feed by Stinson. Under the basket, she gets the 2 to go, and we're knotted at 7. 5:27 to go in the first.
Impressive basket there from Stokes. Looked like she was going out of bounds, able to get the basketball off and tie this game up.
Wilson Saltos backs into the paint, too strong with the right hand over the rim. Fight for the rebound, and it's a foul against Ornella Niankin, drawn by Jill Jaycott. Cecilia Kay checks in, and Stinson's going to sit down. Niankin also going to get a breather as London Lilly makes her first appearance in the ball game for Fordham.
Coach Bree bringing in those freshmen that can make a huge impact here for Fordham today. But so far, slow offensive start for both teams here, Tucker.
After a couple made baskets to start the game, things have really cooled off. But it's Cecilia Kay with it on the left side. She gets it out to Aaliyah Sneed, guarded closely on the perimeter. Now they get it down low to Cecilia Kay, but it's almost tipped away. Kay tries to throw it back, and that's going to be a backcourt violation. Cecilia Kay looking for the outlet to Aaliyah Sneed, but it goes across the timeline. And it's a turnover forced by the Fordham Rams. An excellent defensive possession there to get the basketball back. And we're going to get a stoppage here. 4:53 on the clock in the first quarter. It is 7-all here at the Rose Hill Gym between the Fordham Rams and the St. Joseph's Hawks, but we'll be right back with more Fordham women's basketball after this on WFUV Sports.
Hey, what's up? It's Owen Kelty, one of WFUV Sports' New York Knicks beat reporters. Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks look to dominate the East and bring a championship back to New York. Keep up all season long on my X account at Owen Kelty for all the highs and lows of New York Knicks basketball. WFUV Sports is your home for all things Knicks.
And we welcome you back to the Rose Hill Gym here in the Bronx, New York. Tucker Austin, Anthony Smith with you on International Day here for the Fordham Rams. Fordham women's basketball knotted at 7 with the St. Joseph's Hawks with 4:53 to go. Things have slowed down plenty in this game in terms of offense. After a couple of buckets to start off, things looking positive on the offensive end. Now Fordham, one of their last 7, and St. Joe's one of their last 6 from the floor.
Yeah, Tucker was just about to point out those numbers. Really, both teams struggling offensively. The defenses have been in effect here today. Both of these teams went on like a 2 to 3 minute scoring period where there was nothing going on until Ornella Niankin went to the free throw line, made a couple of those free throws. But right before the timeout was called, we saw a little bit of that Coach B defense that she's been talking about, able to force the turnover.
You know, what's really interesting, Anthony, is that Coach B's what became a signature at the start of this season, her signature press, has really been almost non-existent over the last few games. I don't know where it went, or maybe if there was a shift in the defensive thinking from Coach B, but Fordham has not been nearly as aggressive over their past 3 games in getting past the half-court line and really giving teams problems trying to go downhill. Coach B even told us pregame that between the guard pair for this St. Joe's team of Gabby Casey and Aaliyah Sneed, they have a lot more athleticism, a lot more downhill speed, something that Fordham is going to have to account for in this game.
Yeah, Coach B mentioned how it's going to be tough to play defense on this team. They're always moving around, always looking to score the basketball in many different ways, but gives trust in this defensive unit that she has and her identity that she presents as a coach and that defensive mindset that she has.
Of course, should also mention now Carissa Antoine still unavailable for the Fordham Rams. She has not played yet this season, dealing with an off-season injury. Also, Kayla Berry not available today as she came down with an illness right before this game. But other than that, everybody else is good to go, including Anastasia Veljovic, who is dressed for the Rams, although she hasn't played in the last 2 games. Easley starts things up again for the Rams. It's the guard duo of Black and Easley out there for the Rams with Wilson Saltos, London Lilly, and Mason Hill. Here's Hill, left wing 3. That's no good, but she's going to get her own rebound. Finds Lilly. Now back up top for Black, left wing. Throws it down low, but there's nobody home. Cecilia Kay winds up with the basketball, and she didn't even know the ball was coming. Steal by St. Joseph's.
Little miscommunication there. I think that pass was intended for Emma Wilson-Saltos. Was looking the other direction, though, there.
Kaylee Griffin, the grad student from Conshohocken, PA, now in the game for St. Joe's. Her pass tipped by Easley, but picked up by Casey. Gabby Casey loses the basketball, and it goes out of bounds. She looked to appeal to the ref that was tipped by Wilson-Saltos, but nice defense by Emma Wilson-Saltos to force the mistake from the talented Casey.
Great defense on display there, Tucker. I just want to point this out. We have 3 freshmen on the court right now for the Fordham Rams with Lilly, Easley, and Hill. Really interesting to see how this unit can perform in these couple minutes here.
Along with the experience of Alexis Black and Emma Wilson-Saltos, this is a young group on the floor indeed for the Fordham Rams. Black gets it inside for Wilson-Saltos. Up nice and easy with the right hand, the touch off the glass, and Fordham has a 9-7 lead. Quick transition, though, for the Hawks. Into the left wing, it's Emily Naus. Her 3 is no good and rolls all the way out of bounds. Another stop for the Rams with a 2-point lead. They have the basketball.
Great job on that last possession there, Tucker, from Alexis Black. Was getting double team, able to find Wilson-Saltos. This time there was communication. Makes a great move to move inside the paint and put one up for 2.
Yeah, those two normally have really good chemistry. It was almost shocking to see that first pass go, but certainly look like they're clicking now. Anastasia Veljovic checks into the game for the Fordham Rams for the first time in 2 games. Easley works into the paint, puts up a floater with the right hand, and it goes. Karen Easley extends the Fordham lead to 4. It's 11-7, 3:18 to go in the first. Another quick transition by St. Joe's and going all the way into the lane. That time was Jill Jaycott having an awesome first quarter for this St. Joe's team as Jaycott 11-9.
You see this Hawks team trying to move very fast-paced, trying to get baskets very quickly after Fordham scores.
Quick answers is the name of the game so far for the Hawks. Top of the key for Mason Hill. Going to drive into the lane. A lot of contact. No call. Out of bounds off the Hawks. And Ugne Sertauteta is now going to check back into the game as Emma Wilson-Saltos takes a seat. It really looks like almost every stoppage there's somebody switching on the bench for the Rams.
And I think I saw Coach B pull in Ugne right after that basket was given up, trying to put her back down low in the paint because she's so good defensively down there and poses such a threat to teams trying to work an offense.
And now all the swaps causing a bit of an issue here. The referee trying to figure out who's coming in, who's coming out. London Lilly takes a seat. Ornella Nyankin checks in. Nyankin was already like a few steps onto the floor when she ran up to the table, and the ref didn't even see her, so they had to backtrack a little bit and make sure they were sure. Inbound and a quick 3 from Hill. Rims out. Rebound by Anastasia Veljovic. Another 3 for Hill from the right wing. That's no good. Fight for the rebound by Mason Hill. Diving on the floor is Sertauteta. Nobody still has it. Now it's Karen Easley. They're going to call that jump ball possession arrow to the Rams. But what hustle across the board for the Fordham Rams. Sertauteta a little shaken up, but she looks to be shaking it off now as she heads back down to the other end of the floor, maybe keeping a little bit of weight off that right leg.
A little shaken up there. Tucker seems to be okay as she stays in the game here. But Fordham so far 0 for 5 on 3-pointers in those last couple attempts.
But great hustle from multiple players on the floor that time, from pretty much everybody really. And it started with the offensive board from Veljovic. Veljovic gets it to Hill on the left wing. 2:20 to go in this first quarter. 11-9, the lead for the Rams. All the way to the rack goes Mason Hill, but she can't get the layup to go. Rebounded by St. Joe's. Now on to the other end. Down to the right block for Cecilia Kay. Tries to back down her defender. Goes up with that right hand, but it's no good. Mason Hill picks up a foul, though, on the shot. And Cecilia Kay will head to the line for 2, the sophomore forward from Melrose, Massachusetts.
You saw the Hawks there trying to go fast-paced after that transition, after that missed shot from Fordham. Had a chance, but it was Ugne down low, who I think it was Kay that was going down the court. Was right there defensively, caused St. Joseph's to back up a little bit. Now they go back to the free throw line.
Easley checking out. Alexis Black checks in. It's Nyankin, Sertauteta, Veljovic, Black, and Lucretia Edwards back in the game now for the Rams as Kay stands at the free throw line. Kay this season 13 of 19 from the stripe, and she hits the first this afternoon to make it 11-10. Ryan Stokes heads back to her side of the floor to get a word in with Coach Griffin. Second free throw is no good, so 1 of 2 at the line for Cecilia Kay, but offensive rebound by Kaylin Bethia. Cross-court pass. Now it's Stokes. Stokes drives to the left block, and they're going to whistle her for a travel. Good defense by Ugne Sertau-Teita, using her size to deny Stokes the chance at a basket, and she forgets to keep that pivot foot planted.
Nice job by Bethea to get in that rebound. Unfortunately, goes to waste, but was somehow able to gather in the rebound with Ugne right behind her.
Wide open three in the left corner for Lucretia Edwards is no good. Veljovic offensive rebound. Layup is no good. Another fight for the rebound, and Veljovic comes up with her own board. Alexis Black resets the offense. 1:34 to go in the first quarter. Fordham with a 1-point lead, 11-10. Alexis Black, right wing, with 3 defenders on her, and they're going to call her for a travel now. So the referee's liberal with the travel calls early in this game, as Black was trying to work through 3 out of 5 Hawks defenders to get that ball out to the corner.
Anastasia Veljovic has been amazing so far down low and gathering in the boards. 3 offensive rebounds so far in this game.
Dribble handoff, Ryan Stokes, top of the key, guarded by Niankin. Now they get it into the left corner, to the left block. Pass back up to the right post, and cutting inside goes Kaylin Bethia, but she misses the right-handed layup. Rebound Fordham. Just a minute to play in this first quarter. Still a 1-point lead for the Rams. Veljovic finds Sertau-Teita. She directs traffic. Sertau-Teita trying to back down Kay, and that's out of bounds. Sertau-Teita lost control of the basketball.
Looked like she was getting double-teamed there, Tucker. Down low on the baseline, forcing that turnover. Now St. Joseph's has a chance to take the lead here, going the other way. Fordham scoreless in their last 2.5 minutes, and 1 for 7.
Yeah, but St. Joe's not doing much better in terms of offense. The door has been open for Fordham to extend this lead for a long time, much similar to the LaSalle game. And there's a steal above the three-point line by Alexis Black. She drives into the lane, dumps it off for Anela Niankin. Left-handed layup is good. 13-10, the Rams lead, 32 seconds to go. Trying to speed things up are St. Joe's. Pass all the way down low. Cecilia Kay drops it and one. The 6'2 forward, using her size to get up to the rim, beats the defender, draws the contact, gets the bucket.
A lot going on there in those last 30 seconds there, Tucker. Alexis Black forcing the turnover, going down low, finding Ornella Niankin for the 2, and then St. Joseph's continuing to just move at such a fast pace. And you see Anastasia Veljovic with a smile on her face, kind of wondering how that basket went, and she had her hands up trying to force an incompletion.
And Cecilia Kay knocks down the free throw to make it a 3-point play. 24 seconds to go in the first quarter. Shot clock is turned off. We're tied at 13. Niankin, crossover dribble, now back up top for Alexis Black. She's going to wipe the bottom of her shoes and get ready to hold this basketball for the last shot. 10 seconds to go. Screen by Sertau-Teita. Black sidesteps, and her 3 is blocked by Cecilia Kay. 3 seconds to go. Long pass down the floor, and that's going to be the buzzer. Huge contact in the middle of the floor between Ugne Sertau-Teita and Jill Jaycott. Jaycott is still on the floor, and she seems to be in some serious pain holding on to that left leg. The buzzer did come through, though. End of the first quarter, it's 13 all. That was huge contact in the middle of the floor. Emily Naus had a wide-open 3 on the wing. Decided against shooting it with all of the contact that happened on the floor. But either way, first quarter's over. It's 13 all. We'll be back with the start of the second quarter between the Fordham Rams and the St. Joseph's Hawks after we send it back to the Rose Hill studio for the first one-on-one scoreboard update of the afternoon. Here is Joe Henry.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Guys, first Saturday of the year, first conference play Saturday of the year, and all 14 A-10 teams take the floor. Early slate, some good ones. LaSalle fresh off the win at Fordham Wednesday, hosting GW. The Explorers clinging to a 50-40 lead late in the third. Duquesne at Dayton, pair of teams that have struggled in non-con after losing their top players from last year, and it's the Dukes opening up a 45-38 advantage in the third. 2 o'clock slate. Couple clubs in the top half of the conference, but southernmost geographically, Davidson visiting St. Louis. Both undefeated in A10 play so far, and a hot start for the Wildcats, up 11-4 on the Billikens in the first. Richmond, the top-ranked team in the conference, but one that's had some bumps in the road, hoping to take care of business in a 3 p.m. tip at St. Bonaventure before heading to the Bronx for a battle with Fordham this Wednesday. And the nightcap, Rhode Island, fresh off that upset of the Spiders, chance to make it 3-0 in A10s at Loyola Chicago tonight at 8. With your one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Joe Henry.
And thank you so much, Joe. We welcome you back inside the Rose Hill Gym. The Fordham Rams leading Fordham Rams tied with the St. Joseph's Hawks 13-13 after a quarter of play. Anthony, you could hear a pin drop in this arena after that injury to Jill Jaycott, the leading scorer so far in this game for St. Joe's. 7 points to her name on 3 of 4 shooting from the floor, 1 of 2 from 3. But she headed straight to the trainer's table, helped off the floor by a couple of coaches after that big contact at the end of the first.
Yeah, Tucker, one of the sparks of this offense so far, really for both teams in this game. Unsure of what actually happened. I was looking over to this right side of the court, but I did see a collision, and then it really just created confusion throughout the rest of the court. You see a pass given up when we had a wide open 3, and then you see Coach B on the sideline yelling that there could have been a possible foul. I think Alexis Black was also on the floor. So a confusing way to end the first quarter, but all tied up at 13 heading into the second.
Yeah, bodies everywhere at the end of the first quarter, but you hope that Jill Jaycott is okay because she was having a great game up to this point and looked to be in a pretty significant amount of pain there on the floor. So we wish all the best for her.
You do hope she can come back for the St. Joseph's team. As you mentioned, Tucker, been great so far for the Hawks, providing most of their scoring here in such a low-scoring game.
Yeah, more than half of their team's points in that first quarter.
But both teams could really use an offensive spark so far. Fordham 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. St. Joseph's not much better at 1 for 6. It's really been a slow offensive start and a battle of defenses here in the Rose Hill Gym.
I'll tell you what, Anthony, whoever starts hitting those threes first is going to start to gap their opponent. Play starts with the St. Joseph's Hawks possession. It's Gabby Casey with it, hounded by Ornella Niankin, but she has to kick it out to Cecilia Kay. Kay had the block on Black at the end of the first quarter. Down to the right block for Aaliyah Sneed, trying to find some space. She gets it out to the left wing. That's a 3, and it's no good from Kaylin Bethia, rebounded by Fordham. Tia Morgan in for the Rams, drives into the lane, now dumps it off for Alexis Black, left side. And they call Alexis Black, her foot on the out-of-bounds line in that left corner, looking for 3, but it's going to be another turnover against the Rams and Hawks ball.
You know what's really interesting, Tucker? Gabby Casey, Alexis Black, leading scorers for both teams, held to 2 points combined, 0 for Casey.
Casey, top of the key, now left side for Kaylin Bethia. Back to the top for Casey, gets Niankin to jump, steps up to the free throw line, and hits the easy J. That's that classic announcer's curse, Anthony. First points of the game for Gabby Casey.
I'll take the blame for that one for all Fordham fans listening, but I mean, I guess you could thank me after the game for getting into the rhythm, maybe.
Alexis Black answers on the other end. A little floater with the right hand from the right block makes it 15 all, 8:45 to go in the second quarter.
I guess Casey and Black must have heard me over here, Tucker. They just knocked down the last 2 shots.
They took that personally. Top of the key for Kay. Looking for an option, and she gets it to Stokes. Stokes to Sneed, who gets to the left block, puts up a layup off the glass. That's no good. Rebound Wilson Saltos. Fordham with a chance to take another lead here. Alexis Black walks into the lane and puts up the shot from that left post as she's falling away, but they're going to call a foul against Ryan Stokes, the sophomore guard from Ewing, New Jersey. And Alexis Black is going to head to the free throw line. Black, of course, third in all of Division I this season in free throws made with 82 on the young season.
And not just that, Tucker. She's 15th national in points per game, second in the A-10, and she just does plays such a well-rounded game, third in assists, second in steals for the A-10 as well. Such a great piece that this Fordham team has picked up this year and been such a great leader for the rest of this Fordham squad.
Yeah, and you heard Coach B say it during the coach's sound before the game that Alexis Black has just been so impressive in her ability to step into not only a new program, but a leading role in a new program. And she makes one of two to give Fordham a 16-15 lead. Ensuing St. Joe's possession. Sneed.
Great neck-and-neck battle here, Tucker, so far, 16-15.
Yeah, Sneed, free throw line jump shot, that's no good. Offensive rebound, though, by Bethia, and she draws a foul. It's going to come against Tia Morgan, I believe. And that's 2 shots for Sneed. First team foul of the quarter for the Rams, a foul apiece for the Rams and Hawks.
You see Alexis Black checking out over there, bringing in Mason Hill. A lot more trips to the free throw line here for both teams, as a lot more fouls being created in the paint specifically.
And the first one misses for Bethia. Bethia's played 10 games this season, no starts, 8 of 11 at the free throw line coming in. And she makes 1 of 2 to retie this game at 16. Full court press from St. Joe's. Fordham still looking to break. Niankin gets it forward for Edwards, and now a sideways pass to Morgan, and Fordham breaks the press. Into the offensive end, Morgan, hounded by Bethia. Morgan gets it to Mason Hill on that right side in the corner. A screen and a pass to Wilson Saltos. She gets it to Niankin. Excellent interior passing from the Rams. Niankin another layup, and it's 18-16 Fordham. 7:30 to go in the second. Long pass down the floor, and drawing another foul on the shot is Kaylin Bethia, freshman guard from Voorhees, New Jersey. Layup doesn't go, but she'll go back to the line for 2 more.
Tucker, that was a great offensive possession earlier there from Fordham. A lot of tic-tac-toe passing from the full court all the way down, and kind of the first time we've seen this St. Joseph's team playing a full court press. And another substitution being made for Fordham as they bring back in Lily and Easley along with Mason Hill. So 3 freshmen there on the court along with Wilson Saltos and Niankin.
And a big break there for the Rams. Bethia misses both on her second trip to the line. Now 1 of 4 on the afternoon. 1 of 4 in this quarter. Easily with it for the Rams on the right wing. She has Wilson Saltos with her, but she's going to try and take it herself. It's poked away and stolen by Kaylee Griffin. And then they call a foul. It's going to be a transition foul against Karen Easley.
Easley looks like she disagreed with that one. Gives a little face gesture there.
Yeah, it's not the first time that Easley has committed a transition foul like that, but it really just comes from aggressiveness and wanting to get right back on the basketball, especially because in that case, she had lost the basketball initially trying to get it back for her team. But now it's the Hawks with it the other way. Griffin on the ball, guarded by Mason Hill. Now it's Casey. Gives it off for Sneed. She takes a long 2 from the top of the key and hits it to tie this game at 18.
Great defense there from Niankin. It was just a really tough shot that Sneed was able to make.
It's exactly the kind of shot that Coach B wants the Rams to force out of St. Joe's, but nothing you can do about it if they knock it down. 6.5 to go in this second quarter. 18 all. Niankin, left wing for the Rams. Crossover dribble to the left hand. Now up with the right to lay it up at the left block. Niankin having a big first half here for the Rams. Puts them back in front by 2, 20-18.
Niankin's made a lot of tough shots here today. Really impressive, specifically all those shots coming down low in the paint, getting those easy 2 points that Fordham needs.
7 points in the game, a perfect 3 for 3 for Niankin as there's a steal on the other end by the Rams. Niankin and Wilson Saltos both involved. London Lily goes all the way to the board, but cannot get the layup to go through contact. Rebounded by St. Joe's. A 3 from Emily Naus, and the freshman gets it to go. St. Joe's, after trying to battle just to retie the game, now has a 1-point lead, 21-20 after the 3 ball, 5.5 minutes to go in the second.
second three-pointer of the game. Both of them belong to St. Joseph's here today.
And nearly a steal on the other end by Griffin, but Easley recovers. Lily now back to Easley. She's going to call the play. Wilson Salto sets a screen. 4 seconds on the shot clock. Easley pulls from the left elbow, and that's no good. Rebounded by St. Joe's.
The St. Joseph's team, again, just fast-paced throughout this whole game.
Griffin, Casey, the three, and it's good. Gabby Casey hits a three in rhythm from the right wing, and it's a 4-point game, 24-20 St. Joe's.
And Tucker, we mentioned it before, once one of these teams starts knocking down threes, could get ugly very quick.
Fordham needs a response here. They want to keep this one close before we go to the break at half. Mason Hill with the basketball left wing, going to drive into the lane, and that's rejected by Cecilia Kay, her second block of the game. And a good one at that, moving all the way into the lane and getting her hand only on the basketball. It'll be Fordham's ball after a timeout. 24-20 is the lead for St. Joe's over Fordham. 4:43 to go in this second quarter. And we'll be right back with more Fordham women's basketball after this on WFUV Sports.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace McCarran and I'm one of your 2025-26 New York Islanders beat reporters for WFUV Sports. Follow me on X at Grace McCarran_ for live game updates, features, and other inside content from the island all season long. From the development of first overall pick Matthew Schaefer to incredible saves by Ilya Sorokin, WFUV Sports has you covered every step of the way as the Isles look towards the postseason. WFUV is your home for New York sports.
We welcome you back inside the Rose Hill Gym. The second half of the second quarter. Just in front of us, Tucker Austin and Anthony Smith, of course, with you. Shout out again to Joe Henry, doing all the work for us behind the scenes this afternoon. But as we said right before the break, Anthony, St. Joe's looks like they're starting to get into rhythm from three-point land, and it could spell disaster if Fordham can't find a way to answer.
Yeah, 6-0 run here for St. Joseph's in this last minute 30. Fordham has remained scoreless, needing an answer quickly to try and find themselves back in the game. I know it's only 4 points, Tucker, but once this St. Joseph's team starts becoming in a rhythm, could get very ugly, especially if they start knocking down those threes, which is something that Coach B said that they want to see. They want to force the three ball, but hopefully it doesn't fall in.
And Gabby Casey, the leading scorer for St. Joe's, didn't have a shot taken in the first quarter. I mean, Jill Jaycott was doing most of the work, but then she went down with an injury on the last play of the first quarter, and since then, Gabby Casey now 2 for 2 from the floor, one of those being a three. Still with 4 rebounds and 3 assists, too. Casey was filling up the stat sheet before she got onto the scoreboard, but now looks to be sort of finding her rhythm again, along with the whole rest of the team. The Fordham Rams, outside of Ornella Niankin, have really been struggling to find the bottom of the hoop. That field goal shooting, it's been an issue it's reared its head at times this season. Some games not, but other games things are really slow offensively. Fordham going to need a big next 4 and change minutes to keep St. Joe's away from the momentum that they built at in the first half of this quarter.
And as for Gabby Casey, we kind of see the same thing out of Alexis Black, where maybe she's not off to the best start with scoring the ball, but still is doing a great job of dishing the ball out, getting in rebounds, just playing an all-around great game, and then starts to get comfortable and knocking down those baskets. As for Fordham, Ornella Niankin has so far been the story offensively. Only 7 points, but is the most minutes on the team with 13, and has knocked down three field goals on all of her attempts. So
she leads the Fordham Rams in scoring in this game so far, also tied for the lead in the game with the injured Jaycott. But an inbound play from Alexis Black. She finds Niankin. Black, right wing, guarded by Sneed. She finds the Yankin for a little give and go. Now right wing again. 2 seconds on the shot clock. Black has to put up a wild one from three-point land. That's no good. It hits the backboard, and it's a shot clock violation. Coach B does not look happy.
Coach B doesn't look happy. Alexis Black doesn't look happy. Tucker, it felt like that shot clock kind of crept up on us, and maybe Alexis Black wasn't aware that it was down to 2 as well.
Well, it came after a block, so it likely wasn't a full reset, and maybe Fordham after the timeout thinking it was. Now a possession for St. Joe's, up by 4. Clock ticking towards 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. It's Naus. Now a swing all the way to the left wing for Sneed. Sneed, top of the key. It's Emily Naus again for 3. That's no good. Fight for the rebound. It goes right to Sneed. She gets it back to Naus. Now Sneed again, left wing. Looking for an option, finds Gabby Casey, guarded by London Lilly. Casey drives the lane, now kicks it out to the right corner. That's a wide open look for 3, and it's too long. Over the rim, but rebounded by Sneed. Gabby Casey, a great look from the top of the key. Straight on 3 is good. 27-20, the Hawks starting to pull away.
Well, they're playing Coach B's game, trying to force those three-point shots, but you got to get in the rebound. That was a long offensive possession there for St. Joseph's, and that just cannot happen.
Casey is 3 for 3 in the game. You get the feeling that she has the touch down pat at this point. She might not be someone that the Rams can let stay open for the rest of this game. A scuffle for the loose ball on the other end. The Rams pick it up, though. 4 seconds on the shot clock again. Alexis Black finds Lilly, left wing. 3 is good! London Lilly on the catch and shoot. She hits to cut the lead to 4, 27-23, but an answer immediately on the other end by the Hawks. Faith Stinson works inside, receives the pass, and puts up the layup with the left hand to make it 29-23.
Just when you think Fordham is getting back into a rhythm with that three-point shot, the blink of an eye, St. Francis gets 2 more points.
For Lilly, it was her 5th three-pointer of the year on the other end, now 5 for 17. Left corner, Lucretia Edwards. She steps inside, puts up a short jumper from the left baseline, off the rim, rebounded by Stinson. And a long down-court pass intercepted by Alexis Black. She's going to drive on Gabby Casey, puts it up with the right hand. It's no good. Lilly tries to get there for the rebound. It was her and Emily Naus underneath, but last touch by Lilly. Fordham can't cash in on the steal by Alexis Black. Still 29-23. St. Joseph's the lead. 2:21 to go in the second.
You see a little bit of a different approach there from Alexis Black. Tried slowly moving in on her opponent, just unable to get it to fall down.
And a quick pass inside for Stinson. That's blocked by Veljovic. Veljovic reaches in and gets a piece of the basketball as Stinson went up, and she'll get the block.
Stinson looked really surprised there. He was looking for the foul, did not get it though.
Yeah, she wanted it over the back. Fordham though turns it over on the other end. Faith Stinson redeems herself after the block, puts up the 2 through contact, gets the and 1. She'll go to the line and down under the basket. That's Alexis Black holding on to her left ankle. Or really, it's the right. Kind of hard to see from our angle, but
no, it is the
regardless,
right, yeah.
A bad look for the Fordham Rams. Alexis Black hitting the floor with her fist as Coach Bridgette Mitchell tries to get her up off the floor. She's checked out by the training staff. We're going to step away for just a moment. Injury timeout here. 1:53 to go in the second quarter. 31-23 the lead for St. Joe's. We'll be right back with more Fordham women's basketball on WFUV Sports. Hey Devils fans, Tucker Austin here from WFUV Sports, one of your New Jersey Devils beat reporters for the 2025-26 season. From Hughes Brothers Havoc to Heischer Hat Tricks and Markstrom Masterclasses, I'll have you covered live from the Prudential Center for all things Jersey hockey. Follow me on X at @Taustin_24, where I'll have live game updates, analysis, and post-game coverage all season long as the Black and Red look to bring Lord Stanley back to the Rock. WFUV Sports is your home for everything New Jersey Devils. And as we come back, Faith Stinson misses the free throw to make it a three-point play. Karen Easley, the rebound, going to try and move it quickly the other way. Of course, the Rams now without their star, Alexis Black, came up with a right ankle injury on the last play. Tia Morgan, right corner three. That's no good. Off the front rim. Then Niankin, the offensive rebound, gets it down to the left block for Wilson Saltos. Good footwork, but can't get the layup to go off the back iron. Last touch by St. Joe's, and it'll stay with the Rams. Fresh shot clock set at 20, 1:28 to go in the second quarter, but a huge loss of Alexis Black for this Rams team.
Tucker, if you thought you could hear a pin drop earlier, it got even worse on this experience here. Huge blow for Fordham, and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Wilson Saltos draws a foul from Faith Stinson on the floor. It's only the Hawks' second. So it'll be an inbound for the Rams. Karen Easley going to take it. It's Easley, Morgan, Veljevic, Wilson Saltos, and Niankin out there for the Fordham Rams. Alexis Black still getting checked out on the trainer's table behind the bench. Wilson Saltos steps inside, can't get it to go. Rebound, Veljevic. Outlet pass, Easley. She cuts into the paint. Nice and easy, but with the right hand, she can't get it to go. Too strong on the layup. Offensive rebound, Wilson Saltos. Another layup. That's no good off the back iron. Another fight for the rebound. Out of bounds. Last touch by St. Joe's. They cannot get out of their own end right now.
Good offensive pressure there from Fordham, but one of them's got to go fall in the basket. You need points here badly. Again, only an 8-point game, but could pull away quickly, especially without your star player, Alexis Black. Mentioned how important she is, just not only as a player, but as a leader.
And after a struggle on the defensive glass, Coach Griffin sends Celia Kay in to make things a little more difficult. Kay on the defense that time against Niankin's right-handed layup, and it's no good. 55 seconds to go in the second quarter. 31-23, the lead for St. Joe's. Both teams shorthanded by one player who was in the game earlier. Stinson, left block, working on Morgan, up with the left hand, no good. But the rebound gets away and finds Stinson. Griffin has it. Kaylee Griffin, cross-court pass, it's Gabby Casey. Now into the corner. Right corner for Cecilia Kay. Right wing, two-pointer, Aaliyah Sneed. That's no good. Rebound, Veljevic. 22 seconds to go in the half. Shot clock is turned off. Veljevic drives to the right block. She is blocked by Stinson. Gets her own rebound, but then it's stolen away by Kay. Kay dumps it off for Casey. 10 seconds to go in the half. St. Joseph's with the last possession here. Wide open three in the right corner for Casey, and she hits. Defensive breakdown for the Rams with 2 seconds to go. Timeout taken by the Rams. No, they stopped the clock for a substitution. So it's 1.2 seconds to go. Niankin's going to inbound it. And that should do it for the half as the horn blows at the end of 20 minutes of play. Like we said, with those three-pointers, the Hawks got hot from three, a little bit hot, maybe not super hot, but they got a little bit hotter from three and managed to pull away. It's an 11-point gap, 34-23, St. Joseph's with the lead, but I think the big story for the rest of this game for both teams is going to be the injury to Jill Jaycott and Alexis Black for the Hawks and the Rams, respectively.
Well, Tucker, just talk a little bit more about those three-pointers first. This St. Joseph's team, 5 for 13 from beyond the arc, compared to 1 for 9 for Fordham. So that's a big difference right there. That's 4 right there for that as the difference. But
a
as
12-point swing, or 9-point swing.
But as for Fordham, Alexis Black, really a big part of this identity of the team, and it's going to be really interesting to see the rotation coming out into the second half of what players are going to be in here for Fordham. Going to need to see a lot now from Easley, maybe London Lilly and Ornella Niankin. Those players need to step up now as Alexis Black is injured and don't know if she will return for this game.
Certainly, I think Easley's going to have to step up in a big way since she has become essentially the secondary ball handler behind Alexis Black. Now, Alexis Black out. Karen Easley going to have to step up in a big way, but we heard pregame Karen Easley is willing to do whatever coach needs of her, and if she has to carry the basketball in the second half, she will do so, and she'll do it to the best of her ability, which we know is very, very solid. But either way, 34-23 is the score. The St. Joseph's Hawks leading the Fordham Rams on this Saturday afternoon, the first Saturday of 2026. We'll step away for a portion of the halftime break and send it back to the Rose Hill studio for the one-on-one halftime report. Here is Joe Henry.
The one-on-one halftime report.
St. Joseph's 34, Fordham 23. We've hit halftime on the hill. Joe Henry here for your one-on-one halftime report as the Rams unravel in the second quarter. Before we break it down, I've got you covered. We've got another one-on-one scoreboard update.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Hey, thanks, Joe. We'll talk men's hoops for a bit. 12 of 14 A-10 teams in action today. 3 games already tipped off. We started at noon, VCU and Duquesne, and it's the Rams helping to cement their status as a top 2 contender in the league. 91-80, they get the win over the Dukes. GW leading LaSalle 31-26 in the first. The Explorers hanging in there against a Revs team that looks like A-10 title material. How about this? A Dayton team that barely got past Fordham on New Year's Eve, visiting a 5-9 Loyola Chicago team that started 1-7, but just knocked off Rhode Island on Wednesday. 29-17, Loyola leads. Upset watch in the Windy City. And speaking of URI, a chance for redemption today at George Mason with tip-off set for 4 p.m. Davidson and St. Joe's round out the day at 6. The lone Sunday matinee, the A-10 home opener for Fordham. Chance for a statement win against Richmond. We'll have it live on 90.7 FM, WFUV Sports. In the meantime, and with your updates, I'm Joe Henry. Thanks, Joe. 34-23 at the half. St. Joseph's leads. We were tied 13-13 through 10 minutes, and in a bit of a reversal of what we've come to expect from these Fordham Rams over the first couple months of the year, it's the second quarter in which the Rams unravel, not go and have a great quarter after a slow start. It was a really impressive first 10 minutes going toe-to-toe with the St. Joe's team, expected to finish top 3, 4, 5 in the conference, and man, as much as the score stands out after a brutal final few minutes, the injuries become the biggest storyline of the day. 2, 1 for each side. Jill Jaycott goes down for St. Joe's. Early in the second quarter, she was leading all scorers with 7 points. And Alexis Black, ranked top 30 in the nation in a lot of key categories: steals, points, free throws. Fordham's captain, Fordham's leader, in just about every statistical category, goes down with an ankle injury. She left the game with about a few minutes left in the second quarter. She has not returned so far. And on a day that we thought would be defined by these two teams' defenses and by their three-point shooting for good or for bad, it's been the injuries that have become the storyline. But through 20 minutes, 34-23, the Hawks on top of the Rams. Gabby Casey really coming alive the last few minutes. She's up to 11 points for the Hawks, 4 of 4 shooting, 3 of 3 from three-point land for a St. Joe's team that has really struggled. Otherwise, from distance, just 2 of 10 are the rest of the Hawks today, but 3 of 3 for Casey. She's already got 5 rebounds and 3 assists as well. Figured that would be a big storyline. St. Joseph's went 3 for 21 their last time out in a win over VCU, but otherwise has been one of the best, if not the best, three-point shooting teams in the entire conference. Their average on the season still north of 35%. Yet, they've really struggled of late, and Fordham, on the other hand, has struggled mightily from distance in the entire Bridgette Mitchell era, just 28.8% this year, but heating up in a big way. 7+ threes in each of their last 3 games. It's the first time they've done that in the entire Bridgette Mitchell era. 3 years, they'd never done that. During that span, shooting 37.5% from deep. Fantastic stuff, but it has not translated so far today. 1 for 9 as a team from distance. The one comes from London Lily, just her 5th three-pointer of the season. Alexis Black only attempting 1 3, only 5 shots overall. And a theme even before she got injured, she only played 13 minutes. You'd expect that number to be up around 15, 16, 17 for someone who plays 90% of the minutes for this team, especially in big games. And this would be a big game, a chance to make your first conference win, an upset over a really good team, and to avoid starting off the conference season 0-3. But no help has really been the story for Alexis Black, too. And oddly enough, it's been a game where a lot of stories have become reversed. Black with 3 turnovers in her 13 minutes before she goes down with her injury. Only 5 points, but a lot of help from perhaps some unlikely candidates. Karen Easley, 4 points, 2 rebounds, no assists for someone who's really emerged as a great guard, as just a freshman, someone who can kind of fill the shoes of Taya Davis as she begins to grow in her college career. She's going to be leaned on a lot as a ball handler, and that could be concerning for Fordham, not because she hasn't done a great job in that spot so far, but it might be a case of too much too soon for Easley. When she's on the floor, Fordham's offensive rating just 92.8. That's far below the 100 average. To give you a good estimation of just how much Alexis Black transforms this Fordham team when she's on the floor, well, one, her usage rate is up near 30%, so she's involved in just about every play that Fordham's running offensively. And while she's the leading scorer, she's averaging 20 points a game. She's second in the entire conference in scoring. As Tucker said, third in the conference in free throws made. She gets to the line a ton. She takes a ton of threes. She takes a ton of shots in general. She demands the rock. She's also leading the team in assist percentage, 28.4% assist percentage. So when she's on the floor, 28.4% of made field goals from the team are assisted by Alexis Black. Karen Easley second on the team at 27.1, but at a much smaller dose, nearly half of the minutes played. And the concern with Easley is that she just hasn't been thrust into a role this significant this early. So should Black miss the second half of play, it's going to rely on people like Easley. It's going to rely on folks like Ornella Yankin, who's had a really, really strong half so far. She's the only other Fordham Ram to have an offensive rating north of 100 through half of this season at 113. Every single other player a below average offensive rating, 100 or lower. So with Yankin and Easley taking up a bulk of the share of the offensive duties with Alexis Black out, then you look to the front court, and the front court's been kind of quiet so far. Now, the rebounding numbers have looked good. That was going to be a concern. 27-18, Fordham holds an advantage there, and that's a little bit surprising because St. Joe's is second in the A10 in rebounding margin. They've out-rebounded opponents by nearly 6 boards a game. Fordham, it's been kind of a tale of two teams on the glass. On one hand, they're, for a second straight year, one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the nation. They lead the A10. They grab offensive rebounds at a 41.1% rate. That's 14th in the entire country. The last two games, though, two of their 4 worst offensive rebounding outputs percentage-wise all season. And then when you flip over to the defensive glass, they're among the 60 worst rebounding teams in the entire country. On the whole, Fordham still has a positive rebound margin by 3.3 a game, but they've been out-rebounded in 3 of their last 4 contests, and so it's so bizarre that in a game where Fordham has dominated the glass, the rest of the front court has really struggled to get involved offensively. And when Fordham has struggled really in the entire Bridgette Mitchell era, it's been because of a lack of help from the front court options. Ugne Serto-Teta gets her first start, but only has played 9 minutes, only 2 points. It feels like when you have this hockey-style substitution method from Bridgette Mitchell to get folks involved, and there's plenty of talent up and down the roster, so it makes sense. It's difficult for players to acclimate and to get hot. And so you see 2, 3, 4 points from a bunch of different scorers every game, but you're not often seeing those third and fourth options come out of nowhere and have a 15-point game that wills you to victory. You're just not going to see that. It's going to be Alexis Black with 20, 25 points. You're going to get a few from Yankin, a few from Edwards, a few from Sertau-Teta, and then you just have to hope and pray that one of these other players, each getting 10 to 15 minutes, one of them is able to earn more minutes with their scoring, and that just hasn't been the case so far for Fordham teams this season. And through 20 minutes of play, 34-23, again, it was tied through just 1 quarter of play, and then a huge run from St. Joseph's helps them take the lead. But again, the big storyline, Alexis Black goes down with an ankle injury late in the first half. We are TBD on whether or not she is able to return for this game. That would be a major storyline. Fordham's best player by far questionable to return with that ankle injury. We wrap up from the Rose Hill studio, send it back to the Rose Hill gym. The Rams trailing by 11, but still with 20 minutes left to try and make things happen. Tucker and Anthony, back to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Carino.
And I'm Joe Henry.
Tune in weekly for NFL Friday, your exclusive WFUV Sports podcast for all things National Football League.
We'll be covering everything on and off the gridiron for the biggest sports league in the world. every week on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcast.
Can the Eagles repeat?
Will the Jets or Giants finally take a leap?
What's Shadur up to?
All of that and more on NFL Friday on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, it's Lydia Perner.
And Grace McCarran.
And we are two of your hosts for 5 on 3.
WFUV's best, if only, hockey podcast.
With all the storylines in the tri-state area, you won't want to miss an episode.
How will Matthew Schaefer fit in with the Islanders?
And will the Rangers have a bounce-back season under Mike Sullivan?
Finally, will the Devils be able to stay healthy and hit their full potential?
Stick with us all season for all things NHL and Will Cooley updates on WFUV Sports.
And we now welcome you back inside the historic Rose Hill Gym on the campus of Fordham University in the Bronx, New York. Tucker Austin and Anthony Smith, of course, joining you. 34-23 the score between the St. Joseph's Hawks, who lead the Fordham Rams. Both teams returning to the floor now with just about 2.5 minutes to go before we start quarter number 3. Thanks to Joe Henry for a very comprehensive halftime show. He covered pretty much everything that's gone on in this game, and I have to agree with Joe. The big story in this one is going to be if either St. Joe's can get Jill Jacob back into this game, or if the Rams see Alexis Black in this game again. And really, that's not even the only narrative for the Fordham Rams, because you think about if you're a Fordham fan, you're worried that Alexis Black won't get back into this game, but at the same time, you got to be worried about will she miss more games after this? Because it looked like a pretty nasty injury, almost as bad as the one at half court in the first quarter with Jaycott. Alexis Black was on the floor for a long time clutching that right ankle.
Well, Tucker, I think Jill Jaycott's injury is not as hurtful as it is for Alexis Black to this Fordham team. I think with this St. Joseph's team, there's a lot of people that could score the basketball. They have a lot of people that are in double digits in points per game. For this Fordham team, it's really Alexis Black averaging just over 20 per game, and then besides that, it's a very young squad that you have here with Easley and Lilly. So you really just got to see who's going to step up now for your team if Alexis Black is out for this game and going forward. You don't know what the timeline is, so it's Fordham fans really worrying, and along with this Fordham squad of when Alexis Black will return.
It's also going to be a question of who can step up. We mentioned at the end of the first half that Karen Easley will likely have to be the primary ball carrier for the remainder of this game. So going to need a big game out of her. Fordham's been getting a really good performance on the boards from Anastasia Veljovic in her first game back from a light injury that kept her out of the last 2 games back-to-back. Sertau Teita, though, a slower game overall, especially considering she got her first start of the year today. Just 2 rebounds for her. Meanwhile, 6 for Veljovic, 5 for Emma Wilson-Saltos. Fordham out-rebounding St. Joe's, but the difference coming from St. Joe's' ability to facilitate the ball, get those assists, and also knock down those 3-pointers.
Well, I think when you mentioned Ugne's 2 rebounds, Tucker, I don't know if you remember, those rebounds came right at the beginning of the game, so she's been quiet since then. As for this Fordham team, they are out-rebounding, but they're unable to get the ball into the basket. A 16-3 run for the St. Joseph's team. Fordham has been scoreless for 3 minutes, 1 for 13 in their last 13 field goal attempts. Something needs to change, and they need to get hot quickly here before it starts to get away from them.
And starts to really get away from them, because it's already kind of gotten away from them at the end of that second quarter. 11-point hole here. It's not an impossible task. There's still 20 full minutes left in this basketball game, but without your leading scorer who's putting up more than 20 a game, the question really is, where are those points going to come from?
Exactly, Tucker. Don't know where they will come from. I mean, I look at Lucretia Edwards, has been averaging just over double-digit points in these last 3 contests. Been quiet here today. Obviously easy. Ornella Yankee, we mentioned her, has had a good game so far.
Lucretia Edwards is 0 from the floor in the game so far, but as my dad would say, she's due. Opening possession for the Rams is a left corner three. That's no good. Rebounded by St. Joseph's, and we're underway here in the second half. St. Joe's in scarlet and gray with white letters and numbers. Fordham in home white with maroon accents, maroon letters, maroon numbers. And a pass inside to Faith Stinson. Getting it going early is the 6'2 senior forward from Thornville, Ohio. Right-handed layup, and it's 36-23. Joe's.
Looks like a little bit of a mismatch down low between London Lilly and Stinson.
Sertau Tata has it for the Rams. It's Niankin, Lilly, Edwards, Sertau Tata, and Easley to start the second half. Lilly drives the lane and draws some contact, but Faith Stinson's going to pick up the block on that possession. Hawks bring it the other way. Gabby Casey yet to miss a shot in this game. She went 4 for 4 in that second quarter alone, and 3 of 3 from beyond the arc. But a pass to Casey, stolen by Edwards. She tries to slow it down, thinks about a three, but then thinks better. Karen Easley tosses it inside for Sertau Tata, takes some contact, now backs into the lane, up with the right hand, and that is exactly where Sertau Tata gets most of her points, is right underneath the basket, backing down an offender and going up easy with her right hand.
Great job by Ugne. They're able to back up her defender, get the two.
And a move inside from Casey. It would have been her first miss, but she is fouled. Ornella Niankin picks it up. First foul of the third quarter against the Fordham Rams. And Casey is going to go to the line for her first 2 free throws of the afternoon.
And Tucker, I don't know if you saw this, but it looks like J-Cott will be done for the game. She came out in crutches, sitting there on the bench with the boot on her left foot with the rest of the St. Joseph squad.
That was a quick development for St. Joe's. They got that boot on her in no time.
And nothing yet on Alexis Black. My eyes have not
I think that could
got me anything yet.
It could be a good indicator. Alexis Black is nowhere to be found on the Fordham bench right now, and she's not on the trainer's table behind the bench either, so likely just stuck around in the locker room. I highly doubt we'll see her in the rest of this game, but who knows? Cross-court pass from Niankin is stolen by Ryan Stokes. It was intended for Easley. Now Stokes drives the other way, puts it off the glass, no good. Rebound Sertau Tata, but it winds up in the hands of Easley. Easley forward for Morgan. Morgan, left corner, Mason Hill. A three is no good off the far iron, and then rebounded by Cecilia Kay.
Fordham really struggling to knock down the three ball. Need to get something going here.
Stinson works inside. The reverse layup on Ornella Niankin is good. Faith Stinson starting to take over this game early in the second half, and it's now a 40-25 advantage for the Hawks.
Stinson's really stepped up for the St. Joseph squad. 22-5 run now for the Hawks.
Morgan gets it inside for Sertau Tata's going to back down Stinson with 2 big trees in the area. Ugne Sertau Tata flips it up behind her head. She wasn't facing the basket, but she gets that one to go with Cecilia Kay and Faith Stinson both in the area. Other end for St. Joe's, a quick jumper from the left elbow by Aaliyah Sneed is good and answers Sertau Tata's 2. 42-27, 7 minutes flat to go in the third quarter.
Every basket that the Rams make, it seems like the Hawks always have an answer.
Easily trying to work around Sertau Tata's screen. Now she gets it back up top for Hill. Hill also waits for a screen from Ugne. Now drives to the right block. Off the glass, too strong. Fight for the rebound. And they can't get it. Ryan Stokes winds up with the basketball as Gabby Casey tried to draw a foul. She went all the way to the floor but did not get the call.
And Tucker, everyone really was like looking at her almost like if the foul was called. Ref looked at her and gave her a smirk and was like, yeah, I'm not calling that one.
Little theatrics from Casey, but no dice. I mean, she has license to try it. She leads all scorers in the game with 13 points, adds 6 boards and 3 assists to that line. A cross-court pass to Mason Hill. Tia Morgan picks up the assist. Mason Hill knocks down the right wing 3. A desperately needed 3 ball from the Fordham Rams. Now 1 for 12 in the contest from 3. But it's 42-30 now. Fordham trying to work back into this one with plenty of time left.
We mentioned Easley and Lilly, but it's Mason Hill this time stepping up for the Rams, knocking down the huge 3.
Right wing and now top of the key for Cecilia Kay. Kay guarded by Hill, and she gets it across to Ryan Stokes. Stokes, a pass around Hill to Stinson. Right corner, Gabby Casey. That three is no good off the front iron. Fight for the rebound, and it's still loose. Tia Morgan winds up with it. Fordham's got numbers the other direction. Mason Hill, left wing. She is going to pull that three, and she connects. Mason Hill back-to-back threes. And the Fordham fans in attendance starting to get a little louder. 42-33, Fordham back within double digits. And a steal. Karen Easley pokes it away, but it's recovered by Ryan Stokes. Easley nearly got a steal in the backcourt.
Mason Hill playing hero, electrifying the Rose Hill crowd.
Cecilia Kay, top of the key, left corner, wide open look for Aaliyah Sneed is no good. Rebounded by Kay, though. Kay finds Casey. Casey goes down low to Stinson. Stinson, nice pass to Sneed. Foul by Wilson Saltos. Count the bucket and one. Aaliyah Sneed finishing through some hard contact that time by Wilson Saltos on the left block. She's going to go to the line to try and make this a 12-point game.
Yeah, the junior out of Philadelphia not fazed by the contact, able to knock down the two. We'll head back to the free throw line. Chance for a three-point play. Again, Tucker, I mentioned it earlier. It seems like this St. Joseph's team is doing a great job of responding to those Fordham baskets. 11-point game still, the same deficit we were at the beginning of the half. But Mason Hill's really stepped up for this Fordham team. And if it wasn't her, you don't know what this game would be at right now. It could be possibly even worse than it is right now.
8 points for Faith Stinson on 4 of 9. 13 points for Gabby Casey on 4 of 5 shooting. And Sneed now up to 6, trying to make it 7 for herself. We're going to step away for just a moment. Free throws for Aaliyah Sneed on the other side of this break. You're listening to Fordham Women's Basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Diaz.
And I'm Mary Hannah Gallagher.
And we're the hosts of All In, a women's sports podcast.
On All In, we discuss everything women's sports, from the WNBA, the AUSL, and NWSL.
No matter the sport, we have you covered.
You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
And welcome back to the Rose Hill Gym. Tucker Austin, Anthony Smith with you. As Fordham tries to work their way back into this afternoon's women's basketball contest between the Rams and the Hawks of St. Joseph's. Joe's up 44-33, but the Rams starting to heat up a little bit from beyond the arc. Definitely going to need the three ball to work their way back into this game, but like you've been saying, Anthony, St. Joe's has done a really good job answering every time Fordham starts to close the gap just a little bit. The Hawks always finding that bucket, a quick bucket too at that, on the other end to sort of stamp out any chance at Fordham gathering momentum.
And it's mainly been Gabby Casey really just running this offense so far for St. Joseph's. 4 for 5 in field goals made throughout those past couple attempts. 3 for 4 in three-pointers here today, leading the team with 13 points, and then joined alongside by Faith Stinson in her last 4 attempts, 3 for 4 in field goals made. So those two have been a dynamic duo so far in this game, been helping manufacture this St. Joseph's offense and help pull away from this Fordham squad.
This is the St. Joe's team that has played some pretty high-profile games early on in the season. They matched up with Penn State at home, put up 77 against the Nittany Lions, but fell 89-77. They also played at Villanova earlier this year, only lost that game by 6, 76-70. Put up 100 points twice so far this season, once against Lemoyne and once against Arcadia. Like we said, they haven't cracked 55 points in an A-10 game yet this year, but they haven't had to. the defense for this Hawks team just very, very good. They did fall to URI, so they're 1-1 in conference play, but that was still a really tight game and could have gone either way. All the way into the paint goes Aaliyah Sneed, working her way past Niankin on the right block, gets the layup to go, and it's a 13-point game, 46-33 with 4:30 to go in the third.
Well, Tucker, this team third in points per game in the A-10, but have not really shown it when they actually reach conference play, but showing it here today.
Easily tries to get a wild floater to go on the right side, no good. Now numbers the other direction, 4-on-3 for St. Joe's. Cross-court pass from Naus. A left wing two from Kaylee Griffin is going to go just a couple feet inside the three-point line, 48-33. St. Joe's just scoring at will at this point.
Now you see a lot of their bench getting involved too as well.
Tia Morgan, step back three and a big answer. Exactly what the Rams needed, 48-36. Now they need a stop on the other end. Wilson Saltos nearly had it, and then she commits a foul against Aaliyah Sneed. She misses the layup, but she's going to go to the line for 2 more free throws.
Not only do they need defensive stops here, Tucker, but they need more baskets like that from players such as Tia Morgan, players that need to step up. It can't just be one player like they usually do with Alexis Black, where they run the Alexis Black show. Now it needs to be this whole Fordham Rams squad stepping up as a whole team.
Yeah, Tia Morgan with plenty of experience in her career. She's a grad student who transferred in. She spent time at Tyler Junior College, then at Arkansas Pine Bluff, and a 5th year at Purdue Fort Wayne before this, her 6th season of college basketball with the Fordham Rams. Meant to be one of those players who can, like Alexis Black, bring that experience, bring that leadership, but of course was outshined a little bit by Alexis Black. But now with no Black in the lineup, Morgan and others will have to pick it up. Turnover by the Rams, stolen by Kylie Griffin. A 3-ball from the left side. A big shot for Emily Naus, another 3 for her in this game, and it's 53-36. Those 3 balls still going down for the Hawks.
They struggled with it last game, struggled a little bit in the beginning. They've been getting better at it here in the second half of the game.
Hill tries an answer from the left wing. That 3 is no good, rebounded by Cecilia Kay. 3 minutes to go in this third quarter, and St. Joe's in full control of this game. On the right side, it's Gabby Casey on the post. A little backhanded pass. Excellent work by Casey to find Sneed underneath for the easy 2. 55-36. St. Joe's pedal to the metal in this third quarter. Timeout Fordham.
Great assist there from Gabby Casey. Doing it at all levels of the game. That was her 5th assist of the game. Also has 7 rebounds to add on to the 13-point performance. Been a great player so far in this game, great difference maker, and it's showing here with this double-digit lead that St. Joseph's has.
And we talked about facilitation of the basketball and the way that St. Joe's does it without turning the ball over too often. They have 18 assists so far as a team in this game, just 8 turnovers, a margin of 10. Meanwhile, for the Rams, just 9 assists and more turnovers than assists in this game, a negative margin. So St. Joe's certainly taking advantage of that. They're up by 19, 55-36, 2:42 to go in this third quarter. We're going to step away for just a moment, another media timeout. We'll be right back with more Fordham women's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Want to be part of the Ramley? It all starts here. I'm Nathan Rogers.
And I'm Kate Cox, and we are 2 of your hosts for On the Hill, WFUV's exclusive podcast for all things Fordham athletics.
From the field of Moglia Stadium to the hardwood of the historic Rose Hill Gym, we've got you covered with the ins and outs of Fordham sports.
Every week, every play, every round. Tune in weekly wherever you get your podcasts. This is On the Hill.
Welcome you back to the Rose Hill Gym. Fordham Rams women's basketball, as the Fordham Rams are falling deeper and deeper into a hole in this third quarter. With 2:42 to go, it's 55-36, the largest lead of the game for St. Joe's. They're on a 13-3 run in the last 2:54 of game time. They've made 5 of their last 6 field goals. The Rams have gotten better from three-point range so far in this second half, but it's sort of been the story of this third quarter that every time Fordham gets a whiff of a comeback, St. Joe's stamps it out immediately.
Tucker, you mentioned those three-point shots and how Fordham's starting to connect on more of those, but it's really just been a different game we saw in the first quarter. First quarter, very back and forth, very low-scoring defense on both sides of the ball. Now entering the second and third quarter, it's been a lot of St. Joseph's going on different runs. 7-0 run in the last minute, 13-3 in the last 3 minutes, and they just seem to be hitting all the shots when Fordham starts to come up with answers, and Fordham, and it's just too much for Fordham, and they just cannot seem to mount a comeback because it's just the Hawks just going back and forth, just getting baskets left and right.
And the progression for St. Joe's is really evident when you start to look at the box score at the moment. 38.5% from the floor in that low-scoring first quarter, 50% from the floor in the second, now 72.7% from the floor in this third quarter. Just a continued improvement and building more of that momentum slowly over time as they've now snuck out to nearly a 20-point lead, and Fordham can barely tell what hit them. They were just in this game near the end of the second quarter, but it's sort of turning into another game where, kind of just like LaSalle, Fordham only led for 6% of game time against the Explorers. 94% of the game time, the LaSalle Explorers were in the lead, and it's sort of turning into that again. Fordham has not led in this game since 3:24 to play in the first quarter.
Well, I think Fordham's going through experience of missing a star player. And you see that with a lot of teams in any sport. When they lose their star player, it really affects this team's morale, and I think that's what's going on with the Fordham Rams. So you just got to take it into account going into these next couple of games and how it's going to affect them if Alexis Black continues to miss time.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help that they were already down 11 when she did go down, but it's sort of just accrued over time as Tia Morgan at the free throw line misses the first of 2.
And when you look at mounting those comebacks and you look at who manufactures them, it's usually going to be Alexis Black for this Fordham team. We've seen it in many games throughout this season. Specifically, I'll mention the Seton Hall game with 42 points. But now, without her, it's a loss of identity for this Fordham team.
Out comes that full-court press, and Anastasia Veljevic makes big-time contact with Kaylee Griffin going up for the basketball. They call the push against Veljevic. I got to say, if this was football, that's a legal play because she got there right as the ball got there. So excellent timing by Veljevic, but not quite so on the body control to stop the contact from happening.
So you're going to throw the flag on that one?
No, I'm letting that one go. That is not pass interference in my book. A 2 on the other end by Cecilia Kay. She pulls up from long range, still a 2, but an excellent shot there from the 6'2 forward. Sophomore showing off the jumper.
Gotta say, Tucker, a lot of hard contact throughout this whole game here today.
And Veljevic, usually a bruiser for this Rams team. It's almost inevitable that she was involved on that last possession. 57-37 the score as Hill tries a 3, but there's a foul called on the floor away from the basketball, so it's going to be a turnover. The ball back to the Hawks. Tia Morgan and Precious Omashola both take a seat as Easley and Wilson Saltos check back in. Still a full court press here from the Fordham Rams. Trying to break it is St. Joe's, but they cannot quite, at least not cleanly. It's a jump ball, possession arrow pointing to the Hawks, but Fordham down by 20 now, breaking out that full court press here with just under 2 minutes to play in the third.
Haven't seen much of it here today, Tucker, really being effective, and there it is. Good example. Coach B still playing the 40 minutes and playing a great defensive pressure here in this second half as Fordham still trying to mount a comeback.
And that one is almost poked away from Gabby Casey by Wilson Saltos. Now it's back with Griffin. Griffin working on Easley. Gives it off for Casey. Casey has Sneed with her. Now she's double-teamed. Ball gets away. Casey falls on it, though, and gets it to Griffin. Another pass down low, tipped by Wilson Saltos, and she steals it away. Fordham players just crashing the basketball every time it's in a passing lane. Niankin, Wilson Saltos in the paint, right block, right-handed layup, no good. Big contact again coming from Veljovic. She's going to get called for another as Sneed takes the contact under the basket, and that foul also puts St. Joe's into the bonus for the last minute, 8 seconds of this third.
Well, Tucker, we mentioned how Fordham may be trying to guard the interior at the beginning of this game, but with Fordham and their offensive identity and just trying to go through the paint and the interior, they seem to struggle with that here today, missing a lot of layups or close shots in the paint. And it could be a big difference going down the line, not just in this game, but in A-10 play. If you're unable to get those easy baskets, maybe when the three ball isn't falling for you.
Sneed at the free throw line, hits the second. She had missed the first, and it's now 58-37, another new largest lead of the game for St. Joe's. They are up 21 with just about a minute to go in this third quarter. Fordham looking for somebody to take up the mantle of Alexis Black and become that microwave that can bring the Rams back into this game. Veljovic steps inside the three-point line and puts up a three, but they're going to call a foul. Offensive foul against Emma Wilson-Saltos. Things just going bad to worse as the Rams, execution-wise, starting to get really sloppy in this second half.
Nothing going right for this Fordham team.
And a steal, though, on the press. Ball gets away from Stokes. It looks like the Harlem Globetrotters out here. She just threw that up over her head to break the press. 38 seconds to go in the third quarter. Still a 21-point game. Gabby Casey drives the lane, up with the layup. That's no good. They call a foul. Couldn't really tell who it was on. There was multiple Rams in the area. Believe it's Emma Wilson-Saltos who's going to pick it up. It was a shooting foul, but either way, Hawks in the bonus, so she'll go to the free throw line.
You mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters. How about Anastasia Veljovic sliding into home plate, it seems like, over there, trying to dive for the basketball.
She's sliding across the floor. You got Stokes throwing it up behind her own head to get it out of play. There's bodies flying everywhere. Cross-court passes, long passes down the floor.
Wild game so far.
I feel like I've been watching tennis. My head's just been going back and forth. First free throw goes for Casey. And the second also goes. Gabby Casey is up to 15 points in the ball game now. Ball gets away in transition from Karen Easley. And they're actually going to call Veljovic with a foul.
Gabby Casey, once again, feels like she's been everywhere here today. Now making impact on the turnover side of the game, stripping that ball away.
And that's a really bad foul, too, because with St. Joe's in the bonus, that sends Gabby Casey to the line, who just hit two there. She's 4 for 4 on the night. St. Joe's is already up by 23, and now it's 24 as Casey knocks down the first for her 16th point of the game. She's also got 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals in 25 minutes of game time. She hits both. It's now 62-57. Lucretia Edwards checks in for Veljovic, who quickly in that third quarter picked up a trio of fouls.
St. Joseph's finally breaking past that 55-point mark in A-10 play.
Wilson Saltos and Veljovic both at 4 fouls in the game for the Rams, so in danger of fouling out. London Lilly, left wing, 3. That try is no good. Fight for the rebound, last touched by Mason Hill. Couple of Hawks in the area under the basket, but it was last touched by the Fordham freshman.
Mason Hill seems not to agree with the call there. Unfortunate break, though. Goes off her left hand and out of bounds.
Maya Jagerskog getting some of her first minutes of this game out of Stockholm, Sweden, the sophomore forward. All the way down court. Jagerskog up there for that rebound, but it's tipped out of bounds, and that is going to bring the third quarter to a close. An emphatic third quarter out of the St. Joseph's Hawks, who took complete control of this game out of the halftime break. They now lead by a whopping 25 points after a 28-point explosion in that third. Clearly not missing Jill Jaycott as much as the Rams miss Alexis Black. I don't think that is that surprising, but I mean, you knew that Alexis Black had a huge impact on this Fordham team. You knew how valuable she was to this team. But to see the Rams just go pretty much completely silent without Alexis Black in the lineup, it's a bit of a shock to the system.
Well, I think, Tucker, it's not like this team is not talented. There's a lot of talented players on this roster. I think it's getting to their head, and it's just now the mental part of the game that we lost one of our leaders on this team right now. We don't know when she will return, and we hope she returns soon. But now it's just if Fordham can get past that mental part of the game and realize they still have talented players on this roster. Right now, this game, it seems like too out of hand, but just going forward into more A10 play, they got to start to lock in and get past this mental part of the game.
30.6% from the field on the entire game so far for the Fordham Rams compared to the 52% total for the St. Joseph's Hawks. But 3 quarters gone, 1 to go in regulation here between the St. Joseph's Hawks and the Fordham Rams at the Rose Hill Gym. 62-37 the score. We're going to kick it back to the Rose Hill studio for another one-on-one scoreboard update. Here is Joe Henry.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Thanks, Tuck. We'll flip from hardwood to gridiron. It's playoff season in the football world. College football playoff semifinal is set. Couple of teams of destiny set to match up in the Fiesta Bowl. The Kiffinless Ole Miss Rebels are rebels indeed. 383 yards on offense to upset Georgia. And on the other side, how about the Canes? Miami takes down the number 2 Buckeyes. They become the first 10 seed to win a playoff game, and they look to make some more history this Thursday. Kickoff set for 8 p.m. The other half of the bracket, undefeated number 1 Indiana cruising to the Peach Bowl to play number 5 Oregon. Friday night lights, 7:30 kickoff there. Trip to the championship game on the line. In the NFL world, 2 divisions up for grabs in Week 18. The mid-offs, as we like to call them. Carolina visits Tampa. Panthers clinch with a win or a loss and an Atlanta win. Tampa can squeak in with a win and an Atlanta loss. And in the AFC North, Steelers and Ravens, it's win and in on Sunday Night Football. The regular season finale could send shockwaves around the NFL. Back to basketball, Joe Henry signing off with your one-on-one scoreboard and sending it back to Tuck and Ant.
And thanks so much, as always, Joe. Our fearless leader, the station manager, Joe Henry. Tucker Austin and Anthony Smith with you, though, as we get ready to start the fourth quarter. 62-37 the score. St. Joe's with a big lead. Fordham going to try and slowly claw their way back into this one. Time not on their side. Edwards tries to work through Gabby Casey. Casey going to pick up the blocking foul. No, they call it a kick ball, rather. Casey does pick up the foul, though. It's the first of the quarter against St. Joe's. And only the second, actually only the first in the game against Casey, despite having played a majority of the game.
And Tucker, my eyes coming in clutch once again. I see Alexis Black over there with the rest of the team with the boot on her right leg.
So boot for Jacob, boot for Black. That pretty much ends the speculation about either of those players returning in this game. And there's a top of the key three, way too open for Emily Naus. Naus having an incredible role-playing game. Not usually a huge producer of points for this Hawks team, but she's made a handful of big threes in this game so far for Joe's. Into the left corner for Mason Hill, the Rams on the other end. Hill loses it, but then regains possession, finds Omashola for a kick out to Karen Easley. Easley, top of the key. She'll pull that three. It's no good. Rebounded by Hill. Hill and Omashola were battling over it for a second, but then Hill is fouled. That one's going to come against Emily Naus.
Tucker, and I think going forward with this Fordham team, I think you just try and see what kind of connections you have with the rest of the squad. Obviously, Alexis Black and Easley, as Coach mentioned, they have a good connection. But it's kind of just going forward. You know what kind of talent these players have, but you kind of see what kind of chemistry they have now without Alexis Black.
Edwards steps just inside the three-point line, can't get the two to go, and it's rebounded by Faith Stinson. She had plenty of height over Edwards and Easley. Casey back to Stinson. Stinson steps above the three-point line and now gives it back to Casey. Casey briefly double-teamed. She gets it to the right side. Driving into the lane goes Stinson, and she is fouled. They called it against Easley, although it didn't really look like she was in the area to pick that foul up. Regardless, it comes against Easley, her second and the first against the Rams in this fourth. 8:33 to go. Stinson at the line with a chance to extend this lead as much as 30.
Fouls just getting called everywhere on this Fordham team. 16 so far compared to only 7 for the Hawks. Been at the free throw line way too many times here today.
Stinson hits both at the free throw line. A 2-for-2 trip makes it 67-37, a 30-point advantage for St. Joe's. At the end of this first quarter, if you told me Fordham would be down by 30 less than 2 minutes into the fourth, I would not have believed you, but here we are nonetheless. Lucretia Edwards' corner three is good. Edwards pushes the Fordham Rams to 40, and it's 67-40 now, 8 minutes flat to go in the fourth.
Good to see Edwards finally get a three in this game. Coach B mentioned before that.
An immediate answer on the other end, because why wouldn't they? Lucretia Edwards, the left wing three, but then immediately coming down the other end, Maya Jagerskog, her first 2 points of the game on the right-handed layup.
Coach B mentioned Edwards just shooting the three ball, but they're just not falling for her.
Sertau Tata fouled by Stinson on the other end.
And that's what's led to this success for Lucretia Edwards throughout these past couple of games. But just still taking those three-point shots, knowing that she's still working hard on and off the court as well, Tucker.
Sertau Tata was trying to work the right block as she likes to do, but Stinson gave her the body and forces Sertau Tata to do the work for both of these points. First free throw for Ugne out of Kaunas, Lithuania. Gets the first to go. Here on International Days, plenty of international players all over both of these teams. Got Sertau Tata from Lithuania, Jagerskog from Sweden. Sertau Tata hits the second.
5 international total for this Fordham team from Canada, England, and Lithuania.
It's 69-42 St. Joe's. And there's a steal by Mason Hill. Fordham trying to come quickly the other way, but she throws it away. She was falling out of bounds. It's picked up by Naus. Now here comes Casey. Back to Naus. Right side, guarded above the three-point line by Lucretia Edwards. 7:20 to go in the fourth. 69-42 the lead for the St. Joe's Hawks. Double teamed at the top of the key. It's Naus. And now it's on the right post for Maya Jagerskog.
Call it travel on her.
Yeah, travel against Jagerskog. Didn't put the pill on the floor in time. She thought about the initial shot from that right elbow, but then thought, hey, let me drive. There's nobody home, but did not put the ball on the ground in time. Casey and Naus checking out for St. Joe's. Casey sits with 17 points, 7 boards, and 7 assists and 3 steals. It's one of the fuller box scores that I have seen this year. That's that one stolen away by Ryan Stokes.
Good bounce back for Casey after last game. It was her first game without reaching double digits against VCU, so hit 17 here today.
Down low for Jagerskog. Sweden versus Lithuania, and Sweden gets the better of Lithuania on that attempt. Jagerskog another layup, and it's 71-42.
And Tucker calling the nations now out here.
It's International Day.
It's getting creative.
Couple players checking in for the Rams. Veljovic returns to the game for Fordham with 4 fouls. London Lilly also checks back in. Alongside them, Easley still out there, as well as Ornella Niankin and Ugne Sertau Tata. Ball nearly stolen by Niankin, but now St. Joe's breaks that press. Going to the rim against Sertau Tata was Kaylin Bethia, but Bethia, the freshman, couldn't get it over the tall reach of Sertau Tata. 71-42, Fordham with the basketball, 6:15 to go. Sertau Tata stops at the right wing. Now she's going to drive into the paint all the way to the bucket. Count it, and one. And an emphatic yell from Ugne Sertau Tata, trying to get her team pumped up and back into this game. She's going to the line for a 3-point play.
Ugne does a great job just using her body to drive through the left side of the paint. and able to draw the foul as well. Again, not phased. Goes back to the line, chance for the three-point play here.
Boy, when Ugne gets her momentum going downhill, you best get out of the way when she's coming downhill to the rack. She misses the free throw to make it a three-point play, but still, solid offensive possession for the Rams. 71-44, 6 minutes to go in the fourth. Ryan Stokes guarded by Tia Morgan on the right side. Up near the script Fordham logo at center court. Now she's double-teamed as Sneed. Stinson's pass tipped away by Veljovic, and it's a steal for the Rams. Anastasia Veljovic was driving. Her back pass is then stolen by Aaliyah Sneed, and now back the other way come the Hawks. Sneed slows it down. St. Joe's going to start bleeding some of this clock off. 5:34 to go. And with a big advantage, into the left corner for Ryan Stokes. That three, no good. Rebound Niankin. Long pass down the court. Gets over the head of Sneed, and Veljovic eventually comes down with it, but has to slow things down. Sertau Teita, guarded by Stinson. She's nearly triple-teamed. Spins and puts the ball over the rim. Right there for the rebound was Jaegerskog.
I think Ornella Niankin might have heard Joe's gridiron update. Tried making a quarterback pass all the way across the court.
Left wing three, Aaliyah Sneed, no good. Fight for the rebound, Ornella Niankin nearly comes down with it, but hard contact initiated by Kaylin Bethia. It's going to be the first personal against Bethia in the game. Fordham also into the bonus now, the fifth foul of the quarter against St. Joe's. It'll be shots. 2 shots for Ornella Niankin. On the other side of our last media timeout, 4:59 to go in this fourth quarter, 71-44 the lead for St. Joe's, but Fordham with free throws after we come back with more Fordham women's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hi, my name is Ryan Rucco, WFUV class of 2008. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One-on-One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV Sports.
We welcome you back as the Fordham Rams living on a prayer late in this game. 71-44. It would take a prayer and nothing short of a miraculous run to get them back in to this game. But like you've been saying, Anthony, this is still a good opportunity for the Rams to try and figure out what their team looks like without Alexis Black. She's wearing a boot back on the bench now, but with that boot on, and with a part of the schedule in A-10 play that's a lot more bunched up, not as many breaks as this Rams team had in December, they're probably going to be without her for the next game at least, maybe a couple of games in Atlantic 10 play.
I think this injury comes at one of the worst times possible. You're already 0-2 in A-10 conference play. You want to enter this game, try and get your first one before hitting the road for another A-10 clash against Richmond, one of the better teams in the A-10. And it just comes at such an unfortunate time because now you're likely going to go into that game 0-3, still looking for your first conference win.
Meanwhile, the St. Joseph's Hawks, who entered at 1-1 in the conference, are rolling on down to a second win in league play so far this season. St. Joe's with eyes on the A-10 title as much as Fordham does, but maybe with a little bit more of the experience. Not only were they the runners-up in the conference tournament last season, but they've also got a very experienced head coach at the helm. While we have a moment here, I just want to take some time to actually congratulate head coach Cindy Griffin on a milestone year this year as the head coach of the St. Joseph's Hawks. It's Coach Griffin's 25th season calling the plays for St. Joe's. She played for the Hawks from 1987 to 1992, made 3 NCAA tournament appearances in 3 straight 20-win seasons as a player with this program. The first free throw for Nienken is no good off the front of the iron. Coach Griffin was the assistant coach at Vanderbilt and then at Loyola Maryland before she got her first head coaching job at Loyola Maryland from 1998 to 2001. Second free throw from Nienken is good. Griffin also helped the Hawks to win the A-10 regular season in the first 2 seasons that she was the head coach here and also win the A-10 tournament in 2013. They made NCAA appearances, did these Hawks, in 2013 and 14. And there's a steal on the ensuing Hawks possession by the Rams. Tia Morgan into the right corner. London Lilly. Lilly gets to the right block, but then a lot of contact underneath. Boy, if anything, this game has just gotten even more physical after the injuries. Both players a little slow to peel themselves off the floor here. 4:42 to go in the fourth. They call a charge against London Lilly because why wouldn't it be a call against the Rams?
So it's been a physical 40 minutes here. Well, not 40 minutes just yet, but physical throughout this whole entire game. Lots of contact being drawn on all levels of the court here.
It's really interesting when you have 2 teams that are sort of not necessarily on the same page with each other, but they're on the same page in terms of both teams are ready to deliver contact as much as each team is ready to take on that contact and not try to bait a foul as much as they just try to play through the contact. So much physicality in this game. And another example, Fordham, more press on the opposite end, forces the timeout call from Cindy Griffin, as Gabby Casey was having a bit of an issue trying to get out of her own half there.
And Tucker, London Lilly seemed to be shaken up a little bit, but appears to be okay, still remaining with the Fordham on the bench, able to walk it off. Was checked right behind the seats, but appears to be okay.
It's a good sign. This Fordham roster already on the smaller side as it is among women's basketball teams in general. Missing 2 players in this game and down a third in Alexis Black with an injury, so gets to a point where you start to almost run out of options, but for Coach Bridgette Mitchell, there's always options. She plays pretty much everybody on her team almost every game and really has an almost hockey-level pace to her substitutions.
Still can't afford to take any more losses on this team. Again, you just mentioned the short amount of players that you have, even though regardless that you utilize every single one of them in every game.
A set play in their own half of the floor for the Hawks to break the press. Gabby Casey, left wing, guarded by Tia Morgan. Moves to the top of the key and then gives it to Ryan Stokes. Stokes to the left side for Cecilia Kay. Kay gave it to Bethia. Bethia almost lost the basketball. Slides on her knees. That's going to be a travel. Although that's a weird gray area now that I think about it. If you're sliding on your knees, certainly if you move without dribbling while on both of your knees, it is a travel, but it's not a step necessarily. It was more of a slide across the floor. Still a good call there from the referee.
I'm impressed with how she got that pass off while she was sliding. I mean, the travel was called, but it was an impressive pass as Wilson Saltos gets called for the foul.
And they just called an offensive foul against Emma Wilson Saltos, and she just fouled out of this game. So just like we said, Fordham cannot afford to lose anybody else in this game. They just lost another player as Wilson Saltos is going to have to take a seat for the remaining 4 minutes.
Now it's
St. Joe's tried to inbound the basketball before Fordham had a chance to actually bring their sub in for the fouled out Wilson Saltos. Easley checks in, Morgan checks out. Fordham's got 5 on the floor again.
And not just injuries here, Tucker, just fouls as well, knocking Fordham players out of the game.
There's just a whole bouquet of unfortunate scenarios just handed right to the Fordham Rams in this game. Clock takes under 4 minutes to go. 71-45 is the lead for St. Joe's. They haven't scored in the last 2.5 minutes. So offensively sort of seizing a little bit, but I mean, you look at this score, they're well beyond that 55 high water mark that they had in the previous 2 games in league play.
And they could finally breathe after this game, that they're able to get past that 55 point here in A10 play was something they struggled with in their first 2 games. As for Fordham, you mentioned just the unfortunate events that unravel here today. And they entered this game maybe a little bit on the positive side, 0-2 to start off. Maybe you can get a nice win here today, carry that momentum into Richmond. Again, another tough A10 game. But with this one, it kind of just lowers the self-esteem of this Fordham team. And just completely different vibes from a couple weeks ago after beating St. Francis.
It opens a really tough first half of the A10 schedule for the Rams. LaSalle, of course, looking worlds better than they did last year. Fordham fell to them on New Year's Eve. This St. Joe's team really hasn't taken much of a step back despite losing several players to graduation at the end of last season. They're still coached by head coach Griffin and have a lot of players who have been with their program for the whole of their career. Coming up through that system and taking a big leap forward again. St. Joe's certainly with aspirations to make a run at the A10, but then like you said, Fordham has to go at Richmond after this game. A home game against Dayton, away game against Davidson. They get the Bonnies at home, and then a huge game against St. Louis on January 21st. SLU looking to be one of, if not the best team in the A10 this season. Ugne Sertau Tata off the inbound gets it to go, 73-47, 3 minutes 27 to go in the fourth quarter. Another full court press from the Rams, but it's broken by St. Joe's. Ball gets away from Cecilia Kay. It's picked up by Easley. She tries to pass it down low to Mason Hill. Ball is tipped. Hill's pass is also tipped. Fordham gets it to Lucretia Edwards for a left wing 3, but that is no good. And it's rebounded by St. Joe's. Kaylee Griffin with it. She gets it to Olivia Luderot in her first minutes of the game. Luderot, a freshman forward, standing at 6'2", out of Farum, Denmark. Another international player checks into the game.
And Ugne gets called for the foul there. Looks like she disagrees with the call. Both teams now in the bonus here with 3 minutes left.
It's Ugne's second personal of the game, and Cecilia Kay stands at the free throw line. She's 2 for 3 today. It's the first.
You mentioned earlier the idea that St. Joseph's just has a lot of returning players, a lot of players spending their entire collegiate careers, and it's just so impressive with the idea of the transfer portal and how many players decide to transfer to different schools, different programs, depending on maybe coaching or just the history of a school. So it really shows how great a program that St. Joseph's has, that they have so many returning players here for this year.
Well, I mean, that's really the kind of pull that you develop when your head coach is your head coach for a quarter of a century. And Lucretia Edwards puts in a layup for 2, 75-49. The Rams down by 26 now. Into the left corner. That's a 3 attempted by Olivia Luderot, but it gets out of bounds after the miss, and it's going to be Fordham's basketball here. 2:22 to go in the fourth quarter. And checking in for St. Joe's is Emerson Deviney, the last of their international players out of Melbourne, Australia. So I do believe with that, every single player on either roster who is an international student has gotten into this game on International Day.
International love here from the Rose Hill Gym. Both teams really representing the international players. Such talent just coming outside of the United States. Obviously, we've seen it with Fordham, with Canada and England and
it's been
Lithuania.
So cool to see at the college level, though, too, because first, of course, it was the NBA, where all of the international talent started to come in, and now you have players like Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic that are headline players in the NBA, and they're not from the United States where the game was invented. But as time has gone on, these players from Europe, Australia, even players from Asia on the men's side, Fordham has Akira Jacobs out of Japan. But really from all over the world, these players started to realize that there isn't just the NBA in the United States. There's also the entire college level. And what's even more interesting is that these international players usually get a year or two, maybe even 3 under their belt playing professional level basketball in their home nation's league. And then they come to the United States and they already have pro or like next to pro experience coming in against high schoolers from the United States. It sort of amplifies the talent level of those international players.
It's good variation throughout as well. You're not seeing it just mostly from one country. You're seeing a lot of different variation, a lot of different countries from many different squads. With Fordham, you see it. With St. Joseph's, you see it. And it's really good to see how the game has evolved in just outside of the United States. And then you get these international players coming in, a lot of experience and very talented, and just makes these games so much more fun and so much more competitive as well.
Truly one of the most global sports in the world. Not always. Ball out of bounds. It's going to be Fordham's basketball underneath. It's not always been a global game to that extent, but then you think about something like the 2024 Olympics and that series of basketball games for Team USA. It's really something to behold. Sertau Teita gets an offensive rebound underneath but can't get it to go with the right hand. And it's rebounded by St. Joe's. 1:51 to go. Full court press from Fordham. And that ball gets away. The full court press has really been doing its job against St. Joe's. You just wonder why they didn't press until they were down by 20 in the third quarter. Why didn't that come out when you were down 11 in the second quarter?
So a lot of it in that second half, as you mentioned, Tucker, and really interesting that it got brought out in the second half, but not the first half. We've seen it throughout the season as well. And Coach B mentions like retaining that identity. It's been a big part of the identity, but again,
they really only started pressing after Alexis Black went down.
Yeah.
So
good to see that Fordham still has this full court press with 1:34 to go in the fourth quarter, down by the score it is right now, showing that they're still trying to play these 40 minutes and trying to play their heart out.
Actually all of the initial starters are out of the game for St. Joe's, so could be some of the explanation for why they aren't as clean getting out of their own half of the floor with Fordham pressing. Either way, the press is still working. Fordham, though, is down by 26 with 1:34 to play in the fourth quarter. So very much out of hand, as it has been pretty much since about halfway through that third quarter, after St. Joe's brought a serious punch to the jaw out of the halftime locker rooms. Inbound to Mason Hill. Hill working the right side, guarded by Bethia. Now they get it down low to Sertau Teita. She puts up a shot in the paint, but it's short of the rim. No good. Rebounded by St. Joe's. They get it forward to Luderot. Now up top for Kaylee Griffin. Griffin goes cross court. Now into the left corner for Emily Naus. Cross court again. Now right wing for Luderot. Another cross court, just back and forth between these two squads, and that's going to be a foot on the line from Kaylin Bethia. She did hit the three-pointer that she tried to take, but back of her foot on the line. 75-49, 50 seconds to go in this fourth quarter, and the ball stolen away from Mason Hill by Kaylee Griffin. Drives all the way the other direction after a pass to Bethia, and Bethia's fouled. No good on the layup. She's going to get a free throw. Foul called against Mason Hill. Going to get a pair of free throws here. With a big lead and just about 14 seconds between the game clock and the next refreshed shot clock.
Tucker, this St. Joseph's team, all around great effort here today to come into the Rose Hill gym, steal one from Fordham against a team that plays so good at home, and maybe just a warning to the rest of the A-10 that St. Joseph's still here. They can maybe be able to compete with those higher teams such as Richmond and George Mason and possibly make another run in the Atlantic 10 Championship, obviously losing last year to George Mason. So,
well, they went as a 4 seed and then still managed to get to the final. So no strangers to being underestimated. And there's a steal and a coast-to-coast bucket for Kaylin Bethia. Bethia really putting multiple daggers into the Fordham Rams at the end of this game. And she's still going to play some tight defense against Mason Hill. Less than a second between the shot and the game clock here. Bethia picks up a foul. Mason Hill going to go to the free throw line here. 23.3 on the game clock. It reads 22 on the shot clock, but if Mason Hill hits both, now the shot clock is turned off. So if Mason Hill hits both of these, it'll be dribble out time for the Hawks. 78-49 the score. Hill going to try and push the Rams over 50. And she misses the first. It'll be the second of 2 for Mason Hill, and she misses. Rebound by Veljovic. Veljovic gets it to the right block for Sertau Tata. Sertau Tata goes back up with it, but that's no good. Rebounded by Kaylee Griffin. Griffin fighting to try and get out of the backcourt, and she does. Excellent break of the press by the Hawks there. Griffin just going to dribble it around in the front court. 3 seconds to go, and that will do it. 78-49, the final. The St. Joseph's Hawks defeat the Fordham Rams. They improve to 2-1 in Atlantic 10 play. Fordham drops their 3rd straight in league play and their 2nd straight in this building. Now falling to 6-3 at the Rose Hill Gym in what was really not a close game ever since about halfway through that second quarter. St. Joe's, once they started hitting their three-pointers, which they did not do against VCU, it was the key for them to pull ahead and stay ahead today against the Rams.
Yeah, this St. Joseph's team started to get really comfortable and knock down those big three-pointers. Fordham, we didn't really see it happening as much. They started getting those three-point shots later in the game towards the second half, but every time they did, this St. Joseph's team had an answer.
It was 19 points and the leading score in the game for Gabby Casey. Casey, who started with no points in the first quarter, wound up with 19 on 5 of 6 shooting, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc, and 6 of 6 from the stripe, at 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals in 30 minutes of game time. Stellar performance from Casey, but she also got picked up by solid performances. 13 points out of Aaliyah Sneed, 10 points out of Faith Stinson, who really used her height underneath to enforce her will. St. Joe's wound up out-rebounding Fordham at the end of this game, and they really outplayed Fordham in every way, shape, and form after the first quarter. Fordham managed to keep it close, but then, of course, you had the injury to Alexis Black near the end of the first half. For the Rams, it wound up with Ugne Sertau Tata, who was the leading scorer in this one. She did get up to double digits with 12 on 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 at the line, 4 rebounds, and an assist. No other Rams scored double digits, but Nyankin put up 8. She put up 7 in the first half, just 1 point in the entirety of the second. So really, it's kind of exactly what we saw happening in that second half. Was after the Alexis Black injury, Fordham needed somebody to step up, but didn't really get anybody stepping up. It was a lot of people doing a little bit more than they usually do, but nobody really stepping to fill the shoes of Alexis Black the way that the Rams needed.
Yeah, with this Fordham team getting out-rebounded, that's definitely not a part of the team, the type of basketball they play. One of the better teams rebounding in the A-10, and saw it just kind of disappear in that second half. And as far as St. Joseph, I mean, Gabby Casey having just a coach's dream today with 19 points, all around great performance. And for this Fordham team, I mean, Sertau Tata showed that she can be an asset, as she has done throughout this whole year, and started off struggling too, Tucker. I mean, barely got any points, and then started to get more in the second half, getting more of those chances. And for this Fordham team, saw a lot of people continually, like here and there, put in a nice basket, nice three, but all around it just needs to be an all-around 40-minute effort from everybody, and to just have the bench step up when they need it most, especially with the Alexis Black injury. You don't know when her return is.
Fordham with 22 turnovers in the game to just 10 steals and only 11 assists. Meanwhile, it was a well positive assist-to-turnover ratio as a team for St. Joe's. Like you said, Ann, it was an excellent all-around performance by the Hawks here on the road on the first Saturday of 2026. But we're off and running in the new year, and the Fordham Rams are going to be in action next time on Wednesday, January 7th at 6 p.m. on the road. They're making the trip down to Richmond to face off with the Spiders, but that's just about going to do it for us today, this afternoon in the historic Rose Hill Gym. Once again, the St. Joseph's Hawks defeat the Fordham women's basketball Rams 78-49. One last time for Anthony Smith, I have been Tucker Austin saying so long as we send you back to the Rose Hill studio for the one-on-one postgame report. Here is Joe Henry.
The one-on-one postgame report. Fordham falls to 0-3 in A-10 play for the first time in the Bridgette Mitchell era. St. Joseph 78, Fordham 49, the final score from the Rose Hill Gym. Tucker, Anthony, thank you. Joe Henry here for your one-on-one postgame report, or should we call it the one postgame report, as we check in with a one-on-one scoreboard update before breaking down today's affair.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Thank you, Joe. Great job as always. Checking back in on the A-10, we'll start on the women's side. Dayton comes back and beats Duquesne 68-61 on the road. Closing time in St. Louis. The visiting Wildcats of Davidson have dominated 71-55 the score as the final buzzer sounds. LaSalle finishes the job against GW 66-52, but maybe not the biggest road capture of the day from DC. I mean that politically and literally, because in men's action, the Explorers had a lead just 13 minutes ago away against heavy favorites GW, but the Revs have taken over. 77-55 the final score there. An eventful day to say the least on Capitol Hill. The upset watch stays on in Chicago. The Ramblers are tied 65-all with the Flyers of Dayton making a huge late run. 2 minutes to go. If Loyola can pull this off, it would be the wildest result of conference play so far. So plenty to monitor as the A-10 kicks into gear. Reminder, Fordham men's takes on Richmond tomorrow at noon. That'll be right here on 90.7 FM WFUV Sports and YouTube Live. The Rams will round out the weekend number 1 of A-10 play. Joe Henry signing off with your one-on-one scoreboard update. Thanks, Joe. It was tied at 13 and a lot of great signs through one quarter for Fordham. Then disaster strikes through the next 30. 21-10 was the advantage in the second quarter for the Hawks, but the big news in that frame that defined today's game, Alexis Black, Fordham's leading scorer and one of the top-ranked offensive players, not just in the league, but in the country, goes down with an ankle injury. She would not return, seen on the bench with a boot on her right foot. An insult to injury in the third. 28 points in the quarter for St. Joe's, just 14 for Fordham. Made it a 25-point game with 10 minutes left to play. The third quarter, as it often has in Fordham's losses this season, proves to be the dagger in this one. 78-49. Again, that's the final score. It's the biggest loss of the season so far for Fordham. Their second biggest loss was 18 points to George Mason about a month ago. So in 2 of their 3 A-10 games, yes, they've lost all 3, but they've also sustained their worst 2 losses of the season. A really brutal way to rein in the new year and to rein in conference play for these Fordham Rams. St. Joe's in the win, led by Gabby Casey, and you won't believe this, she led all players on both sides in nearly every single statistical category you can conceive of. 19 points to lead all players, 30 minutes to lead all Hawks. 5 of 6 from the field, that's the most field goal made and the highest percentage. 3 of 4 from 3, same deal there. 6 of 6 from the free throw line, you guessed it, the most and the best percentage. 7 rebounds to lead all players either side. 7 assists led all players either side. 3 steals led all players on either side. Gabby Casey putting on a show in Rose Hill. In enemy territory, the Hawks take care of business by nearly 30 points. And as I mentioned on the other side, the big storyline for Fordham, Alexis Black goes down in the second quarter, only 13 minutes played, only 5 points, a low on the season. It's the first time in 14 games that Alexis Black has not reached double digits, and the engine and core of Fordham's entire identity on both offense and defense goes down. We do not know how long. We do not know the severity of the injury, but the reality is that Fordham is going to have to find a way, likely for some extended time without her, to not just mount its first win of conference play, but to carve a path forward as a team so that they can try and contend in the A10, because that's the goal that Bridgette Mitchell had set for this team as they entered the new year, and boy, it has not been pretty so far. And to make a commentary on how things have been overall in the Bridgette Mitchell era, these teams have done pretty well given all the circumstances imaginable, bringing a new coach, the transfer portal era, the NIL era, all these external factors. The team has improved year over year, but we've seen it time and time again in the Coach B era, and in year 3 now, we see it catch up to her. An offense that centers around just one player, and an exceptional one at that, Taylor Donaldson for the last 2 years, now Alexis Black, but an offense ill-equipped to provide any help. And to me, this might be the most talented, or at least highest potential talent team that Fordham has had in these past 3 years, but it's a total question mark at this point as to who and how much these secondary options can step up for Fordham. I'm not so sure that with this loss of Alexis Black that Fordham can find a way to succeed without its best player in the way that it might have been able to had Taylor Donaldson gone down for extended periods in her 2 years here, because there was just more experience on those units. Now, still plenty of experience on the Fordham side, but you're going to start leaning on players who are either in their freshman season like Corinne Easley and London Lilly, or you're going to lean on players who have not had big roles, not just this year, but any point in their collegiate playing career. And that poses a significant threat for a Fordham team that's got to reinvent its identity suddenly midway through the season. You look at today's game again, Fordham losing to St. Joe's 78-49, their biggest loss of the season. If you look at the big factors, you're just not going to beat a favored team when they outdo you in just about every statistical category. 22 turnovers to 18 for Fordham. It's a Rams team that forces over 20 turnovers a game. They don't hit that number against the Hawks. You figured they had to if they wanted a chance. At the three-point stripe, where both teams struggled early on, it was all Hawks for the final 25 minutes or so. St. Joe's finishes 7 for 20 from three-point land, 35%. Fordham, 5 for 21, 23.8%. And from the field, it's even worse, 52.9% as a team for St. Joe's. And remember, Fordham, one of the best teams in the entire country at two-point defense. They allow opponents to shoot under 40% from the interior. That was not the case at all. St. Joe's did whatever they want, oversized, overmatched against Fordham on the interior. Fordham, on the other hand, shot 30.6% from the field as a unit today. It only gets worse where you look otherwise. St. Joe's ekes out a win in the rebounding column, 38-36 against Fordham. That was the one area that Fordham dominated in the early going, but even in the second half that saw just about everything statistically from St. Joe's, they're able to claw back and take the lead in that category and assist as well, doubling Fordham up 23-11. A real lack of facilitation from these Rams. Corinne Easley had 3 in the second half, but otherwise just about nothing from Fordham. Really stagnant look on offense, a team that felt really slowed down by St. Joe's Club that plays one of the 30 slowest paces of basketball versus a Fordham team that's above average in the country in terms of the pace at which they play. And it felt like at the times where Fordham really slowed down, their offense suffered because of it. That was the situation for these Rams. Again, a 78-49 loss. Now you look at the road ahead. Fordham's going to have to find a way, not just to get their first win of conference play, but to really right the ship, and most likely to do so without their marquee player in Alexis Black. The road forward for Fordham at Richmond this Wednesday at 6 p.m., their first road trip of the new year, and then back home to host Dayton, then back on the road against Davidson. Richmond's a really good team on the road. That could be ugly without Alexis Black, and then you come home and you face a Dayton team that is very much beatable. That's a game that you circle on your calendar. That's the figure-it-out game. In Richmond, maybe you could find some answers even in a loss, but against Dayton, that's where things can really congeal, especially if you're going without Alexis Black, and it's the second straight game where everyone behind her, this unit of 10 to 11 players that will see the floor every single game, who can cement themselves as the second and third options on this team that can rise to the first and second option and will you to still be a contending and competing team in this conference. But a lot more questions than answers as of right now as we wrap up from the one-on-one post-game report. A 78-49 shellacking at the hands of St. Joe's. Fordham falls to 0-3 again, first time 0-3 in the Coach B era. As I said, on the road at Richmond on Wednesday. Next time up, that one is set for a 6 p.m. tip. WFUV will have that live on YouTube as always. In the meantime, Joe Henry signing off from a 78-49 loss from the Fordham women's basketball Rams. We'll see you next time on WFUV Sports.